Chapter 5241. Immediately, a genius stepped forward. Elder Peacock, we joined the Divine Hall because of its reputation. Now that the Temple Lord is here, can you show us your skills? That's right. A few more geniuses stepped forward and spoke loudly. If a sect wants to grow, the Temple Lord must be strong. We won't follow a nameless person. The other elders also began to discuss. They knew how strong Peacock and Xing Tian were, as well as the Divine Hall's foundation, but they were unwilling to be controlled by such a young man. Peacock frowned at these voices. Xing Tian snorted coldly. Damn it, what are these guys trying to do? He wanted to shout, but Lin Xian stopped him with a wave of his hand. He knew he was too young and wouldn't be able to convince the crowd, but he didn't care. Lin Xian stepped forward and looked at the crowd. He didn't say anything but looked around. The new geniuses and elders weren't convinced. They wanted to see how the young Temple Lord would deal with the situation. They thought he'd be helpless. But they soon realized that wasn't the case. Under Lin Xian's gaze, the crowd fell silent. No one dared to speak. The geniuses and elders were shocked. It was as if an invisible force was suppressing their souls. What's with his gaze? Why is it so scary? It must be a psychological effect. Isn't it just the Temple Lord's identity? I'm not afraid of him. Some geniuses gritted their teeth and glared ahead. Lin Xian said when he saw the silence. I am Lin Wudi, Temple Lord of the Divine Hall. It was a simple sentence, but everyone was stunned after hearing it. Lin Wudi. He's Lin Wudi. What? That was impossible. Which Lin Wudi was he? Is he the Lin Wudi on the sovereign leaderboard? Everyone's eyes widened as they stared at the scene in front of them. Peacock said. That's right, our Temple Lord is the famous Lin Wudi. He's on the sovereign leaderboard and is qualified to be a great emperor. The crowd was in an uproar when they heard this. The new geniuses and elders were completely stunned. They were completely convinced and no longer felt discontent. This young man was simply too powerful. Although they had never met Lin Xian before, they had heard of Lin Wudi's name many times. When they arrived at the ancient Feather City, they even heard that Lin Wudi had reached the 4th layer of the Starfall Hall on his own. His status was above that of the Crown Prince, and he was the only one who had obtained the qualifications to become a great emperor. Such a person would have unparalleled achievements in the future. Even the Crown Prince wasn't a match for him, so who would dare to challenge him? Greetings, Palace Master. Greetings to the Palace Master. The elders and geniuses bowed one after another. This time they were truly impressed. They were even excited. With such a person as the Temple Master, they would definitely stand at the peak of the universe in the future. Lin Xian's eyes scanned the surroundings as a smile appeared on his face. Everyone, cultivate well and fight against the 9 heavens with me in the future. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a cold light. The people in front of the temple raised their arms and shouted, pledging to follow the Temple Master to death. Looking at this scene, Yunyu was shocked. She also came from a top family. Although she was known as the #1 genius in her family, she couldn't convince the rest of the family. There were even many people who wanted to assassinate her and take her place. However, Lin Xian was different now. These people were completely convinced by Lin Xian. When this power gathered together, it would be terrifying to the extreme. Peacock and Xing Tian smiled. Their years of hard work hadn't been in vain. They had finally helped Lin Xian a little. Next, the crowd dispersed. Lin Xian, Peacock, and Xing Tian gathered together. Peacock said, Young Master, there's a gathering coming up. Do you want to join? Gathering? Lin Xian was curious. What was it? Why hadn't he heard of it before? Peacock said. This gathering was only for the sects of the true spirit world. Young Master had been in the buried Emperor Star all these years. It was normal that no one invited him. Since it was only for the true spirit world, he narrowed his eyes. The current true spirit world was already extraordinary. It could be said to be on par with the buried Emperor Star. Since these people were gathered together, there must be something going on. He said, Sure, I also want to see which geniuses have come out of the true spirit world. That's great. Peacock was overjoyed. She looked at Xing Tian and said, Xing Tian, you can stay here. Give your spot to the Hall Master. All right, Hall Master, this is a very mystical gathering. How mystical? Lin Xian was also astonished. Peacock said that after entering, everyone would hide their identity. Others wouldn't be able to find out unless they revealed their identity. Moreover, this gathering was a small-scale martial arts exchange. It even had an auction as its theme. After entering, perhaps there would be treasures that young Master would like. Hide their identity? Interesting. 2 days later, Lin Xian and company set off. Xing Tian stayed behind to oversee the mansion. Lin Xian brought Yunyu and Peacock to the gathering. The gathering was held in another mansion. Before entering, the people there had already sent over some black robes. Lin Xian and company put them on. They discovered that the black robes could block out vision and soul spirit detection. They were indeed hiding their identity. Interesting. Let's go. The group walked towards the destination. After entering, they discovered that there were many people in black robes. Lin Xian couldn't detect their aura. Similarly, they didn't know who Lin Xian and company were. There was an additional layer of mystery between them. At this moment, Peacock walked towards a pavilion. That was the Sea of Clouds pavilion. She had already booked it. After all, people of their status couldn't sit in the main hall. Every one of them would have their own pavilion. The Sea of Clouds pavilion was booked by Peacock. The Sea of Clouds pavilion was very mysterious. There were clouds rolling around it. Peacock walked forward. However, she was stopped. "Gentlemen, please wait." Peacock stopped. She took out a token and said, "I have booked this place. Lead the way." However, the guard in front said, "I'm sorry. This place is already taken. Gentlemen, please go to other places." Hearing this, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Peacock was stunned. "Taken? What a joke. I booked this place 5 days ago. I even paid for it. You actually gave it to someone else?" "I don't know." The guard shook his head. At this moment, a middle-aged man walked over from afar. He waved his fan and smiled. "What's the matter?" The guard explained the situation. The middle-aged man listened and said, "Gentlemen, please. Let me give you a piece of advice. The people inside have an extraordinary status. I'm afraid you can't afford to offend them." There was a hint of warning in his voice. Peacock was furious. "Can't afford to offend them? I want to see who dares to challenge the temple." Chapter 52-42. The middle-aged man's pupils constricted when he saw the token. He had heard of people from the deity hall before. They were extremely extraordinary in the quintessential world. Therefore his attitude changed and he smiled. "Greetings, friends from the deity hall. We have not received you well in this matter. I will open another pavilion for you as compensation." Peacock did not say anything. Instead, she looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian said, "There is no need. Since it has already been decided, we will take the Cloud Sea Pavilion. Did you hear that? We want the Cloud Sea Pavilion. This matter is your fault. You can deal with it yourselves." Peacock did not back down. The Divine Union did not need to back down now. Furthermore, Lin Xian had already given the order. She naturally had to carry it out. The middle-aged man frowned when he heard that. The Divine Union was powerful and he could not afford to offend them. However, the people inside were also extraordinary. He could not afford to offend them either. For a moment, he was stunned and did not know what to do. At that moment, a few people walked out of the Cloud Sea Pavilion. Who was causing trouble here? These few young people were surrounded by nomological laws. They looked mighty and extraordinary. When the middle-aged man saw them, he could only explain the situation and push them aside. It was better to let these two big sects handle it. The few young people were stunned when they heard that. Were they from the deity hall? Wait. They hurried to report it. Not long after, a few more figures came down. They were all young and outstanding. Their nomological laws were overwhelming. Clearly they were all geniuses. I was wondering who it was. So they are from the deity hall. I wonder which one of them is it? A man in front sneered. Sword chi was surging from his body. The surrounding void was constantly shattering. It could not withstand this power at all. Jian Xiao. Peacock's face turned cold after she saw that. She lowered her cloak and revealed her beautiful face. "This place belongs to the deity hall. Take your people and leave quickly." "Oh, it is Fairy Peacock." Jian Zhao's eyes flickered. "If Fairy Peacock does not have a place, you can come to the Cloud Sea Pavilion with us. We will take good care of Fairy Peacock." After saying that, he looked at the other two people. Who were these two? Were they also from the deity hall? At that moment, a man walked out from the side. His body was shimmering with the 5 elements. It was very scary. He said, "Fairy Peacock, I have heard of your beauty. Now that I see it, you are extraordinary. Fairy Peacock, accompany me for a drink." As he spoke, he stretched out his hand and tried to grab the peacock. Peacock frowned and dodged the attack with a sway. "5 Fairy Peacock, Fairy Peacock." "Oh my, Fairy still recognizes me. That's great. Peacock, Peacock, Peacock." Peacock's face was cold as she looked at Lin Xian. "If you're courting death," Lin Xian snorted. Upon hearing this, Peacock understood. However, before she could make a move, Yunyue, who was beside her, made the first move. A jade-white palm shone with a holy light, as if it was the hand of an angel, and slashed forward. He sent a palm strike at Yuanju. Yuanju was instantly sent flying, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. "Damn it! You dare to attack me?" Yuanju roared and attacked again. 5 Elements Fist. He threw a punch. The 5 elements combined. It was terrifying. It seemed that the 5 Elements Sacred Land had produced some powerful experts in recent years. Yunyu sneered. He was as famous as Bailey Wuck and had the strength of an emperor. Therefore he did not care about the other party's attack. He formed a seal with his palm, turning it into an angel seal. The 5 Elements Fist was shattered. This time, Yuanju's injury was even more serious. His entire arm turned into a bloody mist. Ah! He let out a miserable cry. The surrounding people were also stunned. They looked at the black-robed figure in front of them and felt their scalps go numb. Who was that person? It seemed to be a woman. That was too terrifying. Even Peacock was stunned. She had always thought that Yunyu was just Lin Xian's follower. She did not expect him to be so terrifying. The aura he emitted made her feel mysterious. Thinking of this, she smirked and said coldly, "Jianshao Yuanju, are you still going to stay here?" Jianzhao's expression was cold. He looked at Yuanju and frowned. He did not attack because the move just now had shocked him greatly. Who was this person in front of him? When did the Temple of God have such a powerful ally? He gritted his teeth. "Good, very good. Temple of God, I will remember you. I will not let this matter rest so easily." He snorted and left with his people. Yuanju also stood up and gritted his teeth. "Just you wait." The people from the 5 Elements Sacred Land and the Sword Sect left. The Cloud Sea Pavilion was empty. Lin Xian walked forward. Peacock and Yunyu followed behind him. The surrounding guards made way. They lowered their heads deeply. No one dared to stop them. The middle-aged man was also covered in cold sweat. When he saw the 3 of them enter, he quickly called for the guards and said, "Quick, bring me the best spirit wine and food. If you dare to be negligent, don't blame me for killing you." Lin Xian had just entered when the maids came in with exquisite spirit wine and food. They replaced all the previous ones. Peacock waved her hand. "All right, you can go outside and wait." The maids all retreated outside. Peacock said that the 2 people from before were from the Sword Sect and the 5 Elements Sacred Land. They were called Jianshao and Yuanju. They were also considered top geniuses. Of course, they were not worth mentioning in front of the young master. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He had interacted with these sacred lands many times in the past. However, those people were long gone now. The newcomers were all unfamiliar faces and he was filled with emotion. In martial arts cultivation, if you did not advance, you would fall behind. Although not many years had passed, the new generation had replaced the old. Martial arts cultivation was so cruel. In the end, who could reach the peak? Who could always win and not lose? It could be said that there were only a few people. Everything else will eventually return to dust, dust to dust. Lin Xian did not want such a fate. He wanted to fight all the way to the peak. Since the 5 Elements Sacred Land was here, the other sacred lands should be here too. I wonder who's hosting the party this time? On the other side, the people from the Sword Sect and the 5 Elements Sacred Land left for another hall. After entering, Yuanju roared crazily. He was like a wounded beast. "Damn it! I will not let that woman Peacock go. And the person who attacked, I will capture them. I will let them know despair." Jianzhao's expression was also cold. He said, "Brother Yuan, don't be anxious. The experts from the temple this time are very mysterious. I don't know who else is so terrifying. I have to investigate carefully. But don't worry. This time it is Huntian Palace." The gathering was hosted. His goal was to integrate the power of the quintessential world. Chapter 52-43. The people from the 5 Elements Holy Lands also advised Yuanju. "That's right, senior brother. You mustn't ruin His Highness Hun Tian's plan. Otherwise we'll all die." Yuanju also took a deep breath. He trembled when he heard the name Hun Tian. His opponent was the double-crown champion. How terrifying was that? He said, "Fine, I'll let those people live for a while longer. At that time, if they dare to resist His Highness Hun Tian, let's see how they'll die." Following that, more people arrived one after another. These people entered the pavilions and palaces and waited. In the evening, these people came out one after another. A banquet was about to be held. Although these people wore black robes and didn't want to reveal their faces, they were still dazzling. However, there were always some people who were radiating brilliance, allowing others to recognize who they were with a single glance. For example, there were people with soaring sword energy, people with 5 elements laws revolving around them, and people with powerful physiques. Every holy land had their own unique techniques, so it was easy to distinguish them. These people stood out because they wanted to show their identity and make others feel reverence. Lin Xian and the others also came down. They didn't have any aura of laws on their bodies, so they walked among the crowd and listened to the news. After all, Lin Xian was very curious about who was condensing the energy of the true spirit world. The other holy lands were also curious and started discussing spiritedly. Someone said, "Did you see that? The energy that came this time is from the true spirit world. Someone must have done this on purpose." That was indeed the case. This mansion belonged to the Pureness Immortal Plateau, but the Greenwood Immortal Plateau only provided a place for them to stay. Therefore, I'm guessing that someone else is holding this banquet. I heard some people shouting, "Your Highness." Could it be that the young master of the Pureness Immortal Plateau has come? Many people were shocked when they heard this. The Pureness Immortal Plateau belonged to the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty. The young master of the Pureness Immortal Plateau was definitely a top-notch existence. He wasn't any weaker than the Crown Prince. What was the purpose of such a gathering of people? One could well imagine that it was definitely something earth-shattering. There were also people who said, "No, I don't think this Your Highness refers to someone from the Immortal Plateau. It might even be someone else. Didn't you notice that there are many people from the All Beginnings Holy Land? It must be related to them. The All Beginnings Holy Land, cultivated the primal chaos energy. That's not all. Haven't you heard? Previously, during the test at Nebula Hall, a chaotic body had appeared. That was the Double Crown King. His opponent was from the Primal Chaos clan. Do you think the All Beginnings Holy Land is related to them? Could it really be him? Heavens, if it was him, it was really possible. Voices rang out one after another. They all guessed the same person. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes when he heard this. Chaotic body? He snorted coldly. If it really was the other party, then he wasn't unfamiliar with them. Of course, these were all just guesses. No one knew for sure. However, since the other party was holding this banquet, it would definitely appear in the end. The banquet began. Everyone drank and chatted with each other. When the banquet was about to end, a group of people walked over from afar. The person walking at the very front was dressed in a black robe, but his face was hidden. A woman and a man, both of them exuding a terrifying aura, as if they could split the heavens and earth apart. Countless people exclaimed, "The Saint of All Beginnings and the Saint of All Beginnings." The Saint of All Beginnings and the Saint of All Beginnings were just two titles. Lin Xian looked up and discovered that they were no longer the people he knew. These two people's faces were unfamiliar, but their auras were 100 times stronger than before. They could already be considered peak heaven's prides. The surrounding people also exclaimed in surprise. However, what surprised them was that the Saint of All Beginnings and the Saint of All Beginnings was accompanying a single person. The person walking at the very front was dressed in a black robe. His entire body was shrouded, and his face couldn't be seen clearly. However, since this person was above the All Beginnings Holy Land, his identity could be imagined. Could it be that he was the host of this banquet? Thinking of this, everyone sat up straight and looked ahead. The group of people stopped. Then they sat down. That was the seat of the host. The black-robed person sat in the main seat. The Saint of All Beginnings and the Saint of All Beginnings sat beside him. The other people who had left the Holy Land also sat down. "Fellow Taoist All Beginnings, may I know who this is?" Someone asked. The Saint of All Beginnings stood up and said, "Everyone, there is no need to be anxious. Let me introduce him to everyone. This person has an extraordinary origin. He is an honored guest of our All Beginnings Holy Land. Speaking of which, he has a relationship with our Holy Land. He is the young master of the Primal Chaos race. His Highness Hun Tian." After saying those words, Hun Tian took off his cloak. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they cried out in alarm. Hun Tian. Was it really him? Everyone wasn't unfamiliar with this name. After all, this person was a Double Crown King. One must know that Kunpingzi and the others were all Double Crown Kings. Now that the Double Crown King clan was above their imperial sons, how could they not be shocked? They hadn't expected that it really was him. Not only was he a Double Crown King, but he was also from the Primal Chaos race. The All Beginnings Holy Land was already so terrifying just by possessing the aura of Primal Chaos. The Primal Chaos race was even more terrifying than the All Beginnings Holy Land. After all, the Primal Chaos race was a clan that had existed since the creation of the world. How terrifying was that? With such a clan and such a heaven's pride, it was enough to sweep through everything. Looking at the discussions below, Hun Tian swept his gaze across the crowd. Then he gently waved his hand. No one dared to say anything. When Hun Tian stood up, he looked like a god of primal chaos overlooking everything. He said, "It's me." Sure enough, it was him who had gathered them. He was the host of this banquet. However, why had he gathered them? Everyone was curious. Hun Tian sat down again and swirled his wine cup. A strange light flickered in his eyes. Everyone knew that there were two stars in the universe that were extremely mysterious. One was the buried emperor star, where great emperors were buried. The other was the true spirit world, where countless geniuses and even great emperors were born. Now that the true spirit world had recovered, our holy lands and sects were growing stronger day by day. However, we still couldn't compare to the buried emperor star. Furthermore, the treasures that belonged to our clan's experts were all buried in the buried emperor star. Don't you want to explore and obtain them? When these words came out, countless people were in an uproar. Even Peacock and the others were surprised. This guy was so ambitious. What did he want to do? The others also cried out in alarm. Someone asked, "What does His Highness Hun Tian mean?" Hun Tian said, "I want to gather the strength of the true spirit world and go to the buried emperor star to explore the ancient earth tomb." When these words came out, countless people were in an uproar. Peacock was also stunned. She had guessed that Hun Tian was bold, but she didn't expect him to be so bold. His goal was actually the ancient earth tomb. Beside her, Yunyu was also surprised. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. As expected of the double-crown king. What boldness! The others were even more shocked. They had guessed countless possibilities, but they didn't expect it to be this. Chapter 52-44. What's wrong? You don't dare? Hun Tian shook his head. Although your strength has increased, you are still as cowardly as before. This is truly disappointing. Someone said, "Hun Tian Palace, it's not that we are cowards. It's just that this matter is too shocking. We need to think about it properly. What should we think about?" Someone said, "If you are cowardly, then admit it. We are not afraid. We are willing to follow His Highness Hun Tian." The sword sect's people walked over to the side. That's right, the 5 elements holy lands Yuanju also walked over. With His Highness Hun Tian here, there is nothing that cannot be done. We are also willing. In an instant, more than a dozen holy lands and sects walked over and stood on Hun Tian's side. The All Beginnings Holy Lands people had excited expressions. This is great. Hun Tian's lips curled up. His expression was still calm. With his reputation as the Double Crown King, could these people stop him if he wanted to do anything? Everything was under his control. However, there were still people who were hesitating. Although that was the case, the ancient tomb of a great emperor was a land of death even on the buried emperor star. Moreover, there were countless treasures inside. If they went, would the people of the buried emperor star agree? That was indeed the case. Many people on the buried emperor star had designs on such treasures. For the time being, they did not dare to make a move. If they went, the buried emperor star would probably start a war with them. Hun Tian smiled. "You are worrying too much. We are a family with the buried emperor star. If we go, we will only join hands with them. We will not become enemies with them." Once these words were said, many people were shocked. From his words, it seemed that Hun Tian was already contacting the people of the buried emperor star. It seemed that he had this idea for a long time. It was very likely that he had already set up a big plan. He was just waiting for the right time to activate it. "Everyone, if you are still worried, I will let you meet another person. Friends of the dragons, come out." Hun Tian waved his hand and the aura of primal chaos flew into the distance. A group of people walked out of the palace in the distant sky. The aura of the Tao of dragons from these people swept through the 9 heavens. The people in the surroundings felt their scalps go numb. What a terrifying bloodline power. Yunyu cried out. It was the people of the 10,000 Dragon Court. Lin Xian's eyes narrowed. Was the 10,000 Dragon Court again? Furthermore, they were together with Hun Tian. The people from the 10,000 Dragon Court descended from the sky. The one walking at the front was a woman. The aura of dragon blood on her body was extremely terrifying and mysterious. The surrounding geniuses all bowed respectfully. "Greetings, Princess Longwu." Hun Tian shook his wine glass and patted the seat beside him. "Longwu, come and sit." Longwu nodded slightly and sat down beside Hun Tian. The surrounding people were shocked. The dragons had really come. It seemed that what Hun Tian said was true. Lin Xian frowned. The name Longwu was exactly the same as the dragon prince from before. What was the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty doing? Hun Tian looked around and said, "You might not have heard of this name before, but the dragon prince's name was Longwu." Longwu's voice was the same. But you should also know that she replaced the position of the Dragon Prince. Princess Longwu was the leader of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty. She represents the dragons. Now that she has joined hands with me, what else do you have to worry about? The people from the surrounding holy lands and sects were stunned. Replacing the Dragon Prince? This was too unbelievable. Although Hun Tian didn't have the imperial bloodline, he definitely wouldn't be weak. After all, they knew that many people without the imperial bloodline had risen to prominence. For example, Hun Tian didn't have the imperial bloodline, but didn't he still become the double crown king? Everything was possible. If Hun Tian and the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty joined hands, with the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty's position in the buried Emperor Star, they would definitely be able to do it. They might even join hands to explore the tomb of the great emperor. In an instant, many holy lands and sects responded. However, there were also some people who frowned. Was it really just an alliance? They didn't think so. With Hun Tian's status, it was very likely that he wanted to control the entire true spirit world. If that was the case, their future would be miserable. However, they were only worried. No one dared to object at this time. If someone dared to object, they would be courting death. They would offend the dragons and the primal chaos race. Hun Tian alone was enough to suppress 10,000 worlds. He was a true double crown king. Seeing that no one dared to object, Hun Tian nodded and laughed. Everything was under his control. He was very satisfied. However, at this moment, Yuanju of the Five Elements Holy Land walked over and said, "Your Highness Hun Tian. In the central continent of the true spirit world, there is a sect called the Deity's Palace. It is also a peak force. However, I don't think they will agree to join hands so easily." What? Hun Tian's face sank. Does he dare to go against me? The surrounding people were also shocked. Peacock's pupils shrank. That damned Yuanju, he was taking revenge on them at this time. Jian Shao also walked over and said, "Your Highness, you might not know that the Deity's Palace's palace master is a very mysterious and terrifying person. Legend has it that their palace master is Lin Wudi of the buried Emperor Star." Lin Wudi. Everyone exclaimed. This name was like thunder in their ears. A few peak experts had appeared in the Fallen Star Hall. One was the Double Crown King Hun Tian. Another was the light-shaking realm cultivator who cultivated the heaven-devouring demonic art. The last one was even more shocking, Lin Wudi. He was on the young sovereign list and had the qualifications to become a great emperor. Such a person's strength was terrifying. As a member of the deity's palace, would he agree to join hands with Hun Tian? One had to know that although Hun Tian had not reached the 4th floor, his main body strength was definitely extraordinary. He had the potential to become a great emperor. Such people were all sworn enemies. There was only one person who could continue on the path of the great emperor. They were natural enemies. How could they join hands? Hun Tian's eyes flashed with a cold light when he heard this. Lin Wudi, it was actually him. So this was the deity's palace's foundation. However, it did not matter. He had reached the 4th floor, but he only had the potential to become a great emperor. That possibility was too slim. Currently, the one walking outside is only one of my clones. My main body was cultivating and did not come. Otherwise, with my main body's strength, Lin Wudi would not be able to behave so atrociously in front of me. He was nothing to be afraid of. As for the strength behind Lin Wudi, it was enough to contend against the Thousand Dragon Dynasty. However, the Primal Chaos clan was born since the creation of the world. Our family's foundation is not something Lin Wudi can imagine. Whether it is in terms of strength or foundation, I can firmly suppress Lin Wudi. So you don't have to worry. Of course, no one can contend against your highness. Jian Shao and Yuanju clapped and laughed. The others were also in an uproar. It seemed that Hun Tian was not afraid of Lin Wudi at all. In fact, he was extremely confident that he could suppress Lin Wudi. Then how terrifying was the other party? It seemed that the deity's palace was doomed. Chapter 52-45. There was an ethereal palace in the clouds far away. There was a figure standing inside the palace. He was dressed in green and had a handsome face. She was Qing Tan, the woman who served tea to Ancestor Greenwood. There were a few figures following behind her. They were all from the Greenwood Immortal platform. It seemed that the plan had succeeded. These people didn't dare to go against Hun Tian at all. Another person said. That was because Hun Tian was the double champion. The Hundun clan behind him was even more terrifying. They had a boundary emperor in their clan. Such a person wouldn't even care about the monarch clan. Not to mention the true spirit world. Qing Tan nodded after hearing that. We can start the next step of the plan. Suddenly someone said, "Hey, look at that woman." According to the information, she should be the peacock fairy from the temple. A man pointed into the distance and said. Qing Tan and the others looked over. It turned out that the people from the temple were here too. However, they didn't stand out to resist. They should have submitted by default. At this point they felt that the plan had succeeded. However, Qing Tan frowned slightly because she felt a sense of danger from the peacock fairy. Who was it? She realized that there was a black-robed man beside the peacock fairy. However, she felt an inexplicable sense of danger when she looked at him. What a strange person. Qing Tan was shocked. This black-robed man was not simple. He must be an unparalleled expert. She gasped. There was actually such an expert beside the temple. He probably wouldn't submit so easily. However, she didn't know if this person or Han Tian was stronger. Next, Han Tian, Long Wu and some other top geniuses left. They went to the other palaces to discuss matters. The surrounding people started discussing again. After all, what Han Tian mentioned was too shocking. They had to think carefully. At this moment, someone said, "Isn't that peacock fairy?" It's really her. The temple is here too. Everyone was shocked. Previously, someone mentioned the temple and they might have objected. However, they didn't expect peacock fairy to be here. She didn't say anything before. Could it be that she had submitted? Someone said that was for sure. How would she dare to go against Han Tian? So what if the temple is strong? Xiang Fei sneered. Aren't you bowing your head now? His eyes were filled with schadenfreude. Previously, when he went to look for peacock, he was ignored and even slapped in the face by Lin Xian. He was so ashamed that he could not show his face. Now that he saw the deity hall in trouble, he naturally rejoiced in their misfortune. However, he was not satisfied. He had to get his hands on peacock and torture it to death. There was also that kid. When he thought of Lin Xian, he gritted his teeth. No matter who you are, I will make you regret it. Thinking of this, the corner of his mouth raised into a sneer. Now that the four symbols sacred grounds had formed an alliance with His Majesty Han Tian, he could naturally borrow His Majesty Han Tian's strength. Thinking of this, he left. He wasn't qualified to meet Han Tian, but he could contact the people of the All Beginnings Holy Land. He found the Saint of All Beginning. Of course, he would exaggerate some things. Holy Son of All Beginnings was furious. Are you saying that the Divine Hall is secretly gathering forces to resist us? Yes, that's right. Xiang Fei nodded. Peacock is right here. If you don't believe me, you can ask her yourself. Okay. The Saint of All Beginnings stood up and walked over with his men. Xiang Fei led the way. Peacock, let's see how you will die this time. The crowd was still discussing when a path suddenly opened up. The Saint of All Beginnings had arrived. They all bowed. Some of them could resist him, but they did not dare. After all, the primal chaos race was behind him. They could only admit defeat. Seeing these people coming, they were surprised. Who were they looking for? Could it be that someone dared to offend the Saint of All Beginnings? Did they not want to live anymore? The Saint of All Beginnings had an extraordinary status. He was a top genius. Once he used the primal chaos law, he had the power to split heaven and earth. He could suppress other top geniuses with a single hand. Who dared to resist him? Soon these people arrived in front of Peacock. They were in a confrontation. Xiang Fei smiled. Peacock Fairy, I trust you have been well since we last met. Peacock's face sank when she saw him. What do you want to do with these people? Peacock Fairy is very nervous. Don't worry, I just need your promise. The Saint of All Beginnings also walked out. Why didn't you say anything when His Highness Han Tian united the true spirit world? Since the deity hall is also here, make a decision now. Do you want to submit? Everyone was in an uproar. They did not expect that they were targeting the deity hall. Peacock Fairy had an extraordinary status in the deity hall. If she lowered her head, it meant that the deity hall had to submit. People of the All Beginnings Holy Land, don't go too far. Peacock stood up with an ice-cold expression. Her body emitted 5-colored radiance that could engulf everything. Her bloodline was also extraordinary. Peacock was a mutated beast of heaven and earth. In addition to her years of experience, she was also a top expert. You dare to contend against us? Don't you know who we represent? We represent His Highness Han Tian. No matter how strong you are, can you contend against the primal chaos race? The coldness of the All Beginnings Holy Land's people caused the scalps of the surrounding people to go numb. No one dared to oppose them. Xiang Fei walked out with a smile. Peacock Fairy, a wise man submits to circumstances. As long as you lower your head and become my Tao companion, I will do my best to help you get His Highness Han Tian to forgive you. Otherwise, not only you but your entire deity hall will be annihilated. Peacock was so angry that her face turned pale. The Xiang Fei was so hateful. At this time Lin Xian, who had been sitting down all this time, spoke. If you want to die, I can send you to hell. Damn brat, it's you? Xiang Fei shouted angrily. Who do you think you are? You dare to be arrogant in front of me? He turned his head and looked at the All Beginnings Holy Sun. This brat dared to look down on us. I think we should kill him as a warning to others. Since this brat dared to fight over Peacock with him, he would let him know what regret was. Thinking of this, the corners of Xiang Fei's mouth rose. Let's see how you die. But in the next moment, his pupils shrank because he saw the other party raise his head. There was a trace of golden radiance flickering in his eyes. Then he felt as if his soul was about to split open. He held his head and screamed miserably. No. His soul started to burn. He rolled on the ground in pain. The surrounding void kept shattering. But he still couldn't extinguish the fire. In the blink of an eye, he turned into ashes. The surrounding people were stunned. Dead. A top-notch genius was instantly killed just like that? What kind of method was this? It was too terrifying. The All Beginnings Holy Sun was also furious. The other party dared to kill in front of him. Was this a challenge? He wouldn't allow such a person to exist. Courting death. With a cold shout, he formed a hand seal, forming the All Beginnings seal. Chapter 52-46. The seal of all beginnings illuminated the surroundings. The surrounding people were shocked. Heavens, this is the ultimate technique of the All Beginnings Holy Land. I have seen the Saint Son of All Beginnings before. He used the seal of all beginnings to suppress 2 peak experts. That black-robed man was dead for sure. No matter how strong he was, it was impossible for him to contend against the Saint Son of All Beginnings. The surrounding people shook their heads. In the face of the seal of all beginnings, Lin Xian sneered. With a wave of his hand, a 5-fingered mountain appeared and slammed forward. A heaven-shaking sound echoed. The seal of all beginnings instantly shattered and the 5-fingered mountain arrived. Boom. The Saint Son of All Beginnings' body swayed. Cracks appeared on his body. No, how was this possible? The other party's strength was actually so terrifying. It was as if he wasn't facing a black-robed man but a god. He couldn't resist at all. He had only felt this kind of situation from His Highness Han Tian. Just who was this person? In the next instant he was suppressed by the 5-fingered mountain. The earth shook. Everyone was stunned. What were they seeing? The Saint Son of All Beginnings, a peak expert, was actually suppressed in an instant. This was too inconceivable. Just who was this black-robed man? Damn it, who are you? Release me. You dare to injure me? Do you know the consequences? The Saint Son of All Beginnings crazily roared. He had lost all face. Moreover, he was seriously injured. This was something he couldn't accept. Lin Xian sneered. He slapped out and shattered the other party's face. Who do you think you are? You dare to be arrogant in front of me? Even if Han Tian came, he wouldn't dare to be so arrogant. Hearing this, the surrounding people were stunned. The other party didn't place Han Tian in his eyes at all. No way could it be that this person was an imperial prince? But even an imperial prince wouldn't dare to be so arrogant. Damn it, let go of our holy son. When the other experts of the All Beginnings Holy Land saw this scene, they crazily rushed out. However, Lin Xian formed another 5-fingered mountain and suppressed all of them. He didn't kill them. He only suppressed them. Then Lin Xian shook his wine cup and calmly tasted the wine. The surrounding people went crazy. This person was slapping the All Beginnings Holy Land's face. No, this was a challenge to His Highness Han Tian. Could this be the trump card of the temple? But when did the temple have such an expert? How could they not know? Voices of discussion rang out one after another. They were all trying to guess Lin Xian's identity. I'm afraid a storm is coming. There were also people who shook their heads. He was dead for sure. Soon someone passed on the news. Han Tian sat high up in a distant hall, his eyes looking down. What do you think? The surrounding great sects and sacred grounds of the true spirit world were all sighing in their hearts. The other party's conditions were too harsh. It was equivalent to them completely submitting to the other party. However, no one dared to resist. That was because if anyone dared to resist, that holy land would probably be turned into ashes in an instant. It seemed like this was the only way. Although he was unwilling, there was nothing he could do. That's right, it wasn't embarrassing to submit to the other party. After all, the other party was the double champion. The other party's clan was rumored to have a quasi-emperor. That was probably even more terrifying than an emperor clan. Therefore they all nodded and agreed to such a request. Hun Tian's mouth curved into a smile. The true spirit world's forces had been integrated. Next he could make his move. It was time to explore the tomb of the great emperor. Of course, he had to wait until the matter of the Yuhua immortal dynasty was over. Suddenly a voice came from outside. His Highness is in trouble. Hun Tian frowned. What's the matter? Didn't I say not to disturb me? However, at this moment, a person from the Hun Tian clan personally walked over. He said, Your Highness, the matter is urgent. Someone has suppressed the saint of all beginnings. Our ally, the genius of the four symbols sacred grounds, Xiang Fei, was also killed by the other party. As soon as these words came out, everyone in the hall was stunned. What's going on? Someone dared to behave atrociously here? They couldn't believe it. One had to know what kind of identity Hun Tian had. He alone suppressed the true spirit world's sacred grounds, making them unable to raise their heads. Who would dare to resist such a person? Hun Tian's face darkened, and killing intent erupted from his eyes. Are they courting death? It seemed that he was too merciful before. Well, let the true spirit world see his means. At that time he would like to see who would dare to resist him. They actually dared to fight against his highness. They were too reckless. Jian Shao of the sword sect stood up and shouted coldly. He had to kill him and intimidate the world. We are willing to fight for your highness. The people of the sword sect said. The people of the five elements sacred grounds also petitioned. This was a good opportunity. Whoever could be valued by his highness Hun Tian would have a meteoric rise. However, Hun Tian waved his hand and said, No, our primal chaos tribe will deal with this matter ourselves. Only you go. As soon as he finished speaking, a figure walked out from behind Hun Tian and said, Don't worry, your highness. I will suppress him and bring him here for your highness to deal with. This person had a monstrous aura and terrifying power, as if he was a barbarian god. Even the experts of the other sacred grounds felt their scalps go numb. Just the other party's aura was enough to frighten them. This person could definitely sweep the world. I will lead the way. Yuan Ju stood up. Then the two of them left the hall and the others sat down again. They didn't think it was a big deal and believed that it would be resolved soon. At the banquet outside, countless people were still discussing. After all, the scene was too shocking. The saint of all beginnings and the other experts were all suppressed, which terrified them. They didn't know what would happen next. At this moment someone said, Someone has come to the hall. The primal chaos tribe is here. They were shocked. Did the primal chaos tribe come in person? They all looked over. A tall man walked over and the chaotic aura on his body was abnormally terrifying. It was really someone from the primal chaos tribe. It seemed that his highness Hun Tian was angry. Get out of the way. Yuan Ju led the way and shouted angrily. The crowd opened up a path for him. Soon they came to the front and saw the suppressed saint of all beginnings and the others. Yuan Ju also gasped. Did they really dare to attack? Hun Li's face turned gloomy. Who was the one who did it? Get over here and die. He shouted coldly and the void around him shattered. It was as if he was really going to split the world. The power of the primal chaos terrified everyone. This person was much stronger than the saint of all beginnings. Was this the power of the primal chaos tribe? It was too terrifying. No one could resist it. You are not Hun Tian. I told Hun Tian to get over here himself. The others are not qualified to be my opponent. Lin Xian snorted coldly. His arrogant words shocked everyone again, and the people who rushed over were also angry. Yuan Ju was surprised. Who was so arrogant? He looked ahead. When he saw Peacock and Lin Xian he was stunned. It was them. Weren't they the ones who drove them away? These people were very terrifying. He had experienced it before, so he wanted to remind them. But it was too late. Hun Li was completely furious. Chapter 5247. Hun Li was much stronger than the saint of all beginnings. He laughed. Kid, you're too arrogant. Do you think you can compete with me just because you defeated the saint? He's not even half as strong as me. Today I'll let you know the power of the Primal Chaos clan. He raised his palm and punched out. Primal Chaos Divine Fist. This punch was extremely terrifying. The aura of Primal Chaos surrounded it as if it could pierce through the world. At this moment the surrounding people were terrified. They felt as if their bodies were about to be destroyed. What kind of fist technique was this? No one could resist it. Even Peacock gasped. Beside her, Yun Yu's eyes were also shining. She didn't expect the Primal Chaos clan to have such a person. Lin Xian was also surprised. As expected of the Primal Chaos clan. But so what? I've said it before. If you want to be my opponent, let Hunley do it himself. You're not enough. He clenched his fist and punched out the Six Paths fist. The phantoms of the six worlds surrounded him, suppressing everything and pressing forward. He actually dares to fight back. Does he know what kind of existence he's facing? It's over. I think this guy is dead for sure. Seeing Lin Xian still attacking, the surrounding people shook their heads and sneered. They seemed to be able to see Lin Xian's end. Boom. The two fists collided. It was earth-shattering. However, the result was shocking. The Six Paths fist directly shattered the Primal Chaos fist. One of Soul Power's arms suddenly split open and turned into a bloody mist. He screamed and retreated. The next moment he was suppressed by the six worlds. The surrounding spectators widened their eyes in disbelief. This was Soul Power. It was much more terrifying than the Saint of all beginnings. That punch was enough to destroy the world. But now it was directly shattered by someone. He was seriously injured and even suppressed. This guy is too strong. Is he really an emperor? At least he has this kind of strength. Several people exclaimed. Damn it. Hunley was also terrified. When did the temple have such an expert? Could it be? He thought of a possibility. The temple master of the temple. Is it really him? He wanted to shout, but he couldn't do it. The six worlds made him like an ant, he could only crawl. Yuan Juesha, who was next to him, knelt on the ground. Had he dared to clamor with such a person before? It was already a miracle that he was still alive. The others were also shocked. They were all trying to guess who this person was. There was a mysterious figure in the crowd. He was wearing a Taoist robe. He looked ahead and sucked in a breath of cold air. Could it be him? If it was really him, then perhaps everything could be explained. The laws on this person's body were abnormally deep and terrifying. He was from the Taoyi Holy Land. Eldest senior brother, who is he? The others from the Tao One Holy Ground were also confused. Who was it that could make their eldest senior brother so shocked? Was he an imperial prince? First senior brother shook his head. No, he wasn't the imperial prince, but he was even more terrifying than the imperial prince. Hearing this, the people from the Tao One Holy Ground were stunned. Then they thought of someone. Was it him? Lin Wudi. There were two people who were even more terrifying than the crown prince. One of them was the double crown king Hun Tian. However, it couldn't be him. There was only one other person left, and that was Lin Wudi. He was someone who had killed the dragon prince. Such a person was really too terrifying. Moreover, they had heard all kinds of legends about Lin Wudi. Previously they found it unbelievable. However, the incident at the Nebula Hall had happened right beside them. He was the only person who had made it onto the Supreme Leaderboard. Even Hun Tian hadn't made it onto the leaderboard. How terrifying would such a person be? No wonder their eldest senior brother was so shocked. However, there were also people who said that no matter how strong Lin Wudi was, could he fight against Hun Tian? That was the double crown king. Indeed, everyone was worried. However, the eldest senior brother of the Tao One Holy Land smirked. I don't know who is stronger between the two of them. Perhaps the double crown king is stronger, but that might not be the case now. According to the information I received, the body walking outside is a clone of Hun Tian. It's not his main body at all. The strength of this clone is only at the imperial prince level. It's not possible for him to suppress Lin Wudi. Unless his main body comes personally, there would be a good show to watch this time. This eldest senior brother was very powerful. The Tao One Holy Land also had an extraordinary background. After the recovery of the world, their great Tao laws had become even more terrifying. The eldest senior brother was confident that he could defeat everything. However, facing Lin Wudi, he was also terrified and didn't dare to fight against him. The surrounding junior brothers were also shocked when they heard this. They didn't know what would happen next. The news of Hun Tian's soul power being suppressed spread again. When the people in the hall heard this, they were all stunned. Those experts from the Holy Land couldn't believe it. Even Hun Tian's soul power had been defeated? The pupils of the Hun Tian's people also constricted. They knew the strength of Hun Tian's soul power. To be able to defeat Hun Tian's soul power was probably beyond their imagination. After hearing this, Hun Tian stood up. Extremely terrifying killing intent burst out from his eyes. Who was it? Was this a slap to his face? Beside him, Long Wu also frowned slightly. She said that Hun Tian's soul power was very strong. To be able to defeat him so easily, it was at least at the imperial prince level. A young powerhouse? Hun Tian snorted coldly. His eyes were filled with killing intent. So what? I want to see who dares to challenge me. He strode forward. Long Wu soared into the air and followed him. The other holy emperors also followed one after another. Jian Shao roared. Whoever dared to offend His Highness Han Tian was dead meat, no matter who it was. This group of people completely alarmed the outside world. One had to know that those who could enter the main hall were all top-notch experts. Behind them stood the Holy Land sects, which were unparalleled. Once they made a move, the entire world would be in an uproar. When these people came out, they were also shocked. It was one thing to hear about it, but when they saw with their own eyes that their holy son and Han Tian's soul power had been suppressed, their vision turned black. Someone really dared to make a move. Who was it? They all looked over. In the next moment they saw Peacock standing there with a cold expression. The others retreated far away. It was her, someone from the temple. They didn't expect it to be the temple. These people were shocked and quickly told Han Tian. After hearing this, Han Tian's eyes burst with a cold light. The temple? Previously, someone seemed to have warned him that the temple might resist. He just didn't expect it to come so quickly. However, so what if it was the temple? No one could stop him from doing what he wanted to do. With a cold snort, he took a step forward and the power in his body swept out. At this moment, everyone kept retreating. Some people spat out blood. They couldn't resist at all. Even Peacock's face was pale and her blood was boiling. She couldn't bear it at all. Seeing this scene, Han Tian sneered. A puny temple dares to go against me? Kneel down and accept your death. A cold voice sounded. Peacock's body swayed. It was as if she was facing a god. She couldn't resist this power at all. Chapter 52-48. Peacock could not resist the terrifying power of heaven and earth. She had no choice. No matter how strong she was not worth mentioning compared to the Double Crown King. Just as she was about to kneel, a voice rang out. How dare you touch my people? You must be tired of living. The voice was not loud, but it carried a sharp aura. As soon as it appeared, it cut through the power of heaven and earth. Peacock felt the pressure on her body disappear. She breathed a sigh of relief and smiled at the same time. She knew that Lin Xian had made a move. Han Tian frowned when he heard the voice. He turned around and stopped looking at Peacock. Instead, he looked at the black-robed man next to her. His gaze seemed to have turned into a divine sword, causing hundreds of large cracks to appear around him. Who are you? He shouted coldly. What? Don't you recognize me? Lin Xian took off his cloak and revealed his real face. Han Tian frowned. It was indeed you. Lin Wudi. He guessed that the only person who dared to challenge him and help the temple was the temple master Lin Wudi. It seemed that it was true. The people around exclaimed when they heard it. What? Lin Wudi? Was he Lin Wudi? Countless people were shocked. They all looked forward. Lin Wudi's name was like thunder to their ears. He was someone who was on the supreme list. Previously he was even more famous. He was a top genius who swept through everything. Moreover, it was rumored that he was the temple master of the temple. They did not believe it before, but now it seemed that it was true. No wonder the temple dared to challenge him. It turned out that there was such a terrifying supreme behind them. He was Lin Wudi. Jian Shao was so scared that his scalp went numb and he almost fainted. Previously, when he challenged the other party, it was as if he had walked one round around the gates of hell. Thinking of this, he could not help but step back, hoping that he would not be discovered. Han Tian shouted coldly. Lin Wudi, are you challenging me? Is the Divine Hall trying to go against me? His eyes burst with sharp killing intent. So what if you're Lin Wudi? He didn't care about killing Xiang Fei, but to suppress his soul force was a slap to his face. It was a slap to the face of the chaotic clan. He couldn't stand it. More importantly, both he and his opponent were top-notch experts. Sooner or later they would have to fight in the future. So now that he had the chance to kill the other party in advance, he wouldn't hold back. Your Highness, save me. Saint Son of all beginnings howled. Soul Force gritted his teeth. Kill him and avenge me. Your Highness, please help me. Everyone was shocked. It seemed like a battle was about to break out between the two. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Two ants dare to kill me? With a wave of his hand, the power of the purest yang erupted and shot toward Soul Force and the Saint of all beginnings. Their bodies swayed and then exploded, turning into a bloody mist. Blood rained down from the sky. The people around him went crazy and died. He had killed two top-notch geniuses with a wave of his hand. One of them was an expert from the Hundun clan. More importantly, the other party had attacked in front of His Highness Han Tian. He was completely looking down on Han Tian. Han Tian's face was ashen, and killing intent appeared in his eyes. Damn it, the other party was slapping him in the face. Lin Wudi, if you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. The law of primal chaos on his body kept condensing. He couldn't help but want to attack. Lin Xian sneered. You're just a clone. Don't you think you're ridiculous? If you have the ability, call your main body and maybe fight with me. But with just your clone, you're not my match. Lin Xian's body also erupted with terrifying flames. 6 suns appeared and he was like a sun god. At this moment, the entire world was burning. The surrounding people couldn't bear this power at all. They were shocked. This was the 9 yang divine body, the purest yang power. Was this the strength of a supremacy? Previously, when the true spirit world recovered, these genius experts rose and swept across the world. Their confidence became stronger. They felt that even if they encountered the buried Emperor Star, they would still dare to fight. They didn't even put anything in their eyes. But now, in front of Lin Xian, their confidence was shattered. They all went crazy and were about to collapse. With such strength, even if they all joined forces, they wouldn't be able to resist. This was a young supremacy. An existence that they looked up to. Sensing this aura, Han Tian's face became gloomy. Lin Xian was right. He was only a clone now, which was the strength of a young powerhouse. If they really fought, his clone probably wouldn't be able to contend against Lin Xian. But he wasn't willing. He was the double crown king and also a young supremacy. How could he be willing to be suppressed by Lin Xian? Have you thought it through? Do you want to completely offend me? Although you're now on the supremacy list, so what? Your strength can't contend against me. You're the single crown king while my main body is the double crown king. Once my main body comes out of seclusion, killing you will be as easy as flipping my hand. Biting cold killing intent surrounded everyone, making them feel as if they were facing a great enemy. Lin Xian laughed loudly when he heard this. Main body coming out of seclusion? How long? 100 years? 1,000 years? 10,000 years? If your main body doesn't come out of seclusion, what will you do? With your strength, you want to contend against me? What a joke. Lin Xian stepped out and the sun god flame burned the 9 heavens. At this moment, even the aura of chaos was suppressed. Han Tian gritted his teeth. Damn it, do you really want me to attack? Beside him, Long Wu also walked out. She didn't say anything, but her body emitted terrifying dragon blood, and the terrifying illusion of 10,000 dragons roared. Is the 10,000 dragons court going to attack too? I'll fulfill your wish. Lin Xian raised his head and laughed. The flames on his body changed into demonic qi. Black demonic qi surrounded him and he turned into a demon god. At this moment, Lin Xian's aura was too terrifying. It was powerful and domineering. It was as if he could destroy heaven and earth with a single word. Come, I'll allow the two of you to fight together. The great destruction spear appeared in Lin Xian's hand as if he was going to sweep through everything. At this moment, Long Wu was also facing a great enemy. Was this the person who killed the dragon prince? The young man who made the 10,000 dragons court feel despair? He was indeed strong. Han Tian was so angry that his face turned green. He was calculating the chances of winning if the two of them joined forces. However, Lin Xian said, the quintessential world didn't need to be controlled by others. Even if it couldn't be controlled by outsiders. Are you all going to stand on the side of the chaotic tribe? Are you all going to be enemies with the sacred hall? Lin Xian's gaze swept across all directions. At this moment, his eyes were also filled with a biting cold killing intent. The sky fell and the earth cracked. The powerhouses of the surrounding sacred grounds felt their scalps go numb. At this moment they were terrified. They hadn't expected that between the two of them, it would still be them. This was a dilemma. If they walked over and joined forces with the Divine Union, they would offend Han Tian. They wouldn't have a good ending. However, if they stood on Han Tian's side now, Lin Xian would probably kill them immediately. After all, even the monarch races didn't dare to provoke him, let alone the sacred grounds. Chapter 52-49. But soon there were people who submitted. They looked at Lin Xian and said, we are willing to follow Deity's Hall. Previously, Han Tian was high and mighty and wanted to control the true spirit world. Not all of these sacred grounds were willing to do so. So now that there was a chance, they immediately stood out. As the first sacred ground stood out. Following that, a few other sacred grounds quickly stepped forward to join in. We are willing to advance and retreat with Deity's Hall. Greetings, young Master Lin. Young Master Lin is mighty. More and more people were leaning towards Lin Xian. This scene stunned the people of the Han Tian race. The expressions of the sacred grounds on the side of the Han Tian race changed drastically. they finally didn't dare to resist. Who wanted to die? So they could only walk over quickly. Greetings, young Master Lin. Young Master Lin is magnanimous. Please don't blame us. Yuan Ju and Jian Shao knelt on the ground and kept apologizing. Young Master Lin, please spare our lives. This scene was very shocking. Han Tian's expression became incomparably ugly. Was he inferior to the other party? Damn it. In fact, he didn't know that although he was the double champion, Lin Xian's name was much more famous than his. Moreover, he had been famous for a long time. Lin Xian had killed the Dragon Prince, fought against the 10,000 Dragon Court, and fought against the 10,000 Dragon Court. He even escaped and survived under the attack of the extreme Dao weapon. All kinds of deeds spread throughout the universe, shocking countless people. In the hearts of everyone he was a godlike existence. Now that such a person had spoken, who else dared to resist? More importantly, Han Tian only sent a clone. He couldn't defeat Lin Xian at all. If they didn't submit, Lin Xian could immediately send them to hell. So after weighing the pros and cons, they all submitted to Lin Xian. At this moment, there were only 3 forces on Han Tian's side. Apart from the Han Tian race, there was the all-beginning sacred ground and the 10,000 Dragon Court. Everyone's expression was incomparably ugly. What? Not convinced? I'll give you a chance to challenge me. Make your move. Lin Xian pointed his sword forward. The others were in an uproar. Was he really going to fight? Even the faces of the Han Dun tribe changed. Han Tian remained silent. His eyes grew colder and colder. Lin Xian laughed. You don't dare? If you don't dare, kneel down and kowtow to apologize. I can spare your life. You're courting death. Lin Tian was so angry that he trembled, and a terrifying radiance burst out from his eyes. Even if I'm just a clone, I can still defeat you. He roared at the sky, and the aura of chaos on his body condensed into the Sword of Chaos. It transformed into a divine sword and slashed down from the sky. Countless people were shaken and quickly retreated. Even though it was just a clone, it was still a young tycoon. With the strength of an imperial prince, this sword strike was unparalleled. Lin Xian looked at this sword and laughed loudly. I won't bully you, I'll fight you with one hand. Naturally, Lin Xian wouldn't go all out against his opponent's clone. One of his hands was behind his back, while the other hand reached forward to grab something. His 5 fingers seemed to have transformed into 5 divine swords that swept in all directions. An earth-shattering sound rang out. The two collided with a sonorous sound. The surrounding people were shocked. Lin Wudi was too powerful. He was actually fighting with one hand. Could he win? The people of the Han Tian race gritted their teeth. Damn it, he's too arrogant. Let's see how His Highness will kill him. Sword of Chaos split the world. With a furious roar, the sword slashed out with the power to split the world apart. At this moment, the entire sky shook violently and countless large cracks appeared. Countless people were so scared that their scalps went numb. What kind of sword was this? It was too terrifying. Lin Xian shouted coldly. You want to compete in sword techniques? I'll grant you your wish. Lin Xian waved his arm and 2 rays of black and white light condensed on it. Then they turned into a sword light and slashed down. It was an arc-shaped sword light, and the moment it appeared, it seemed to be filled with hope and destruction. This sword strike stunned everyone. They could feel a terrifying great Dao circling around them. What a terrifying sword. Buzz. Clang. The sword light flashed and there was a thunderous sound in the sky. The Sword of Chaos was sent flying. Meanwhile, a sword light had already appeared on Han Tian's body and pierced through his body. Huff huff. There was no blood dripping because it was just a clone. However, it was even more terrifying. The clone's body was blurry, and it seemed like it was about to disappear. Countless people were terrified. Is he injured? He injured Han Tian with one sword. How terrifying. Even Long Wu's pupils constricted. She realized that if she were to face this sword, it would be difficult for her to defend against it. Unless she took out her trump card, but that would be considered a loss. After all, Lin Wudi didn't even use a weapon for this sword. Impossible. The people of the Han Tian race roared crazily. They couldn't accept it. The people of the 1,000 races Holy Land were also stunned. This made them feel terrified. Han Tian's aura weakened. He gritted his teeth and asked, "What sword technique is this?" "This is a sword technique that I created after comprehending life and death. It's called Origin Restoration," Lin Xian said coldly. Self-created sword technique. Han Tian's pupils constricted. The sword technique that Lin Xian created is so terrifying? Long Wu and the others were also shocked. They originally thought that this was a legendary technique of the great emperor, But who would have thought that it wasn't? Has he grown to the point where he can create a peerless sword technique? This person is too terrifying. Lin Wudi, you're worthy of my full strength. When my main body arrives, I'll have a real battle with you. Hun Tian's cold voice sounded. He turned around and left with his people. Lin Xian sneered. You want to leave? Do you think that one sword is enough? Stay. Since Hun Tian treated him as an enemy, he wouldn't let him go. Another sword slash was made. This sword was even more terrifying. The laws of yin and yang danced, and a taiji diagram appeared, turning into the yin-yang god. One was extremely powerful and it swept through everything. The other was cold and it turned into the death god, destroying everything. As soon as the two of them attacked, they pounced towards Hun Tian. Hun Tian roared. You're courting death. Light of chaos. With a roar, a shocking light flickered in his eyes. Then he tore through the void. These two rays of light were too terrifying. It was as if they had turned into eternity. When they hit the yin-yang god, there was a deafening sound. Hurry up and attack together. He roared at Long Wu. However, Long Wu turned around and left with the people of the nest of 10,000 dragons. Damn it, how dare you abandon me and leave? Hun Tian almost vomited blood. This is too unreliable. Your Highness, let us help you. The powerhouses of the Hun Tian clan and the other clans shouted angrily. They wanted to attack, but the yin-yang god fused into the Sword of Unity and slashed over again. This sword not only contained the power of yin and yang, but it also contained the power of the great dragon sword soul. It was indestructible and incomparably sharp. In the blink of an eye, Hun Tian's body was split into two halves. Under this sharp aura, his broken body couldn't recover at all. Destroy. The yin-yang image rotated and destroyed his broken body, turning it into endless chaotic aura that floated in the void. Chapter 5250. Everyone was dumbfounded by the scene before them. They had never imagined that Lin Xian would actually dare to kill the clone. The people of the All Beginnings Holy Land were dumbfounded. The experts of the primal chaos race roared crazily. Damn it! You actually dared to attack? Lin Xian sneered. Why wouldn't I dare? It's just a clone. Even if his main body was here, I would still kill him. The people of the primal chaos race were furious. They looked at Lin Xian, their expressions constantly changing. In the end, they didn't dare to attack. Had their plan been destroyed? In the distant palace high in the clouds, the people of the pure cleansing immortal platform were similarly shocked. This was Lin Wudi? He was truly too powerful. Qing Tan sighed. Originally, they had thought that Hun Tian's plan would be perfect. But who would have thought that they would meet Lin Wudi? Everything would turn to ashes. He was too powerful. The people of the other holy lands were also incomparably shocked. They rejoiced at the fact that their previous choice had been correct. If they had chosen to stand on Hun Tian's side, they would have probably gone to hell by now. After all, the other party had even dared to kill Hun Tian's clone. He definitely wouldn't place them in his eyes. In an instant, the geniuses of the Holy Lands quickly paid their respects to Lin Xian. They were extremely cautious, not daring to offend the other party. Their young master had become even stronger. Yunyu was shocked. The corners of Peacock's mouth rose into a smile. Very good. This was the result of opposing their deity palace. Their deity palace had Lin Wudi. They could sweep through everything. Looking at the stunned faces around him, Lin Xian's mouth rose into a smile. He waved his sleeve, and the aura of primal chaos that filled the sky disappeared. Then he walked towards the throne in front of him and smiled. Everyone, since you want to form an alliance with my deity palace, let's talk. The corners of Lin Xian's mouth rose. The people of the other holy lands were stunned. Then they sighed. From the looks of it, they couldn't make any other choice. In the distance, the people of the pure cleansing immortal platform were also shocked. This Lin Wudi actually wanted to reap the benefits of the other party's battle. Should we attack? They looked at Qing Tan. Qing Tan said. He had just killed Hun Tian's clone with a single sword strike. How powerful was he? No one knew. I didn't have full confidence that I would succeed. The geniuses behind him also sighed. It seemed like there was no way for them to make a move. Those from the Hundun tribe were roaring madly. Let's see who dares. Terrifying killing intent erupted from their eyes. The surrounding holy lands were stunned once again. Lin Xian snorted coldly. I don't even put Hun Tian in my eyes, let alone you guys. He clapped his hands and 6 suns flew out, burning the 9 heavens. In the blink of an eye, it enveloped the primal chaos tribe. Those people tried their hardest to defend themselves. However, they were simply unable to do so. Two of them tried to escape, but they were killed by Lin Xian's 6 Dao fist. Until now, none of the members of the Hundun clan had perished. Does anyone have any objections? Lin Xian spoke again. Those holy lands shook their heads one after another. They didn't dare. They were willing to form an alliance with Deity's Hall. Very well, Peacock, I'll leave the rest to you. Lin Xian smiled. Peacock was also delighted. This was originally prepared by Hun Tian. Hun Tian had specially arranged this banquet to integrate the powers of the quintessential world. Who would have thought that it would benefit them in the end? This was really great. Peacock naturally knew the importance of this matter. She said, "In that case, let's sign an alliance." With a wave of her hand, a scroll flew out. A blood oath to form an alliance. The other holy lands had no choice. They knew that from now on, they would have to stand on Lin Wudi's side. However, many of them were excited. After all, the power that Lin Wudi had displayed was really terrifying. He didn't even take the double crown champion seriously. Moreover, he was the only person on the sovereign list. Perhaps he could really become an emperor in the future. In an instant, these people had all agreed to a blood oath. Very well. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. This was really a pleasant surprise. This way he would have another force to support him. The Deity's Hall and the Divine Union were all his forces. The quintessential world was already very special. Now that he had the support of these holy lands, it couldn't be any better. Come everyone, let me give you a toast. Lin Xian raised his wine cup and looked around. Then he drank it in one gulp. To young Master Lin. The geniuses of the other holy lands naturally didn't dare to be careless. They all drank it in one gulp. Then the banquet started again. However, the host had changed from Hun Tian to Lin Xian. Some geniuses of the holy lands were very curious. They were geniuses who had just risen and didn't know much about the Deity's Hall. Naturally, they didn't know about Lin Xian's past in the quintessential world. However, there were still some people who knew. The old men explained it to them. Do you know? Lin Wudi is also someone from the quintessential world. The other geniuses were surprised, right? Isn't he from the Buried Emperor's Star? He had gone to the Buried Emperor's Star later. He used to be from the quintessential world. Back then he was known as one of the 5 Absolutes, the Middle Emperor. Although he was young back then, he was already able to defeat the Holy Sons. He had the title of Lin Wudi. In the end, he went to the ancient Star Road with the Yi family's holy physique and the others. So young Master Lin was already so powerful. Heavens, he is my idol. I must learn from him. Cries of surprise rang out one after another. These youths worshipped top-notch geniuses the most, especially someone like Lin Xian. He didn't have a powerful identity but was able to rise from the ashes. They yearned for him. However, there were also people who said that he killed the Double Crown King's clone. Can he really contend against the Double Crown King? I heard that he is only the Double Crown King. There were also people who said that geniuses were improving every day. Moreover, he was the only one who reached the 4th level. Do you know what it means to be on the sovereign list? There was once someone who was on the sovereign list and became a great emperor. In other words, he had a lot of hope. Everyone was astonished. The sovereign list was for young sovereigns. Even great emperors would appear among them. Therefore, Lin Xian's future was limitless. Young Master Lin, please be magnanimous and spare us. At this time, Yuanju, Jian Shao, and the others walked over once more. They lowered their heads deeply. The experts of the Holy Lands behind them were also very nervous. On the other side, the people of the All Beginnings Holy Land were in despair. They couldn't leave or stay. After all, their All Beginnings Holy Land had an extraordinary relationship with the Primal Chaos race. How would Lin Xian deal with them? Lin Xian glanced at them. Then the corners of his mouth rose. Today my Deity's Hall gained many allies. I'm very happy. Therefore I will be lenient. Chapter 52-51. Kneel down and kowtow. Apologize. Cripple your own arms. To top geniuses, this was even more unbearable than death. Therefore everyone looked at Yuanju, Jian Shao, and the All Beginnings Holy Land. They wanted to know what these people were going to do. When these people heard these conditions, their complexions turned ashen. This was akin to ruthlessly trampling on their faces. For a moment they hesitated. At this time Yunue stood up and said coldly, "What? You still don't understand? Since you don't know how to repent, you can go to hell." Her body emitted an extremely terrifying aura of good and evil. Hearing this, Yuanju slashed their bodies with his sword. Could they contend against Lin Wudi? There would only be one outcome if they did, and that was death. Therefore they took a deep breath and knelt down, prostrating themselves on the ground. "Young Master Lin, we were wrong. Please spare our lives." After saying that, they knelt down and severed their arms. Blood dripped into the void and penetrated the ground. These people buried their heads deep into the ground. "All right, scram." Lin Xian waved his hand. These were all ants. He didn't care about them. What he wanted was to intimidate the world. The All Beginnings Holy Lands people naturally didn't dare to resist. They knelt down and severed their own arms. Then they quickly left. The people from the other Holy Lands rejoiced and sighed in relief. Lin Wudi's iron-blooded methods had broadened their horizons. They knew that they absolutely couldn't become enemies with him in the future. After the banquet ended, Lin Xian left with Peacock and Yunyue. The others also left one after another. News of what had happened here had spread. For a moment, the entire Yuhua ancient city was shocked. "Heavens, what did you say? Lin Wudi and Hun Tian fought? That can't be, right?" Those two were incomparably terrifying. What was the result? Lin Wudi easily killed Hun Tian's clone. As expected of a supreme being. He was truly powerful. Countless shocked voices sounded. The primal chaos race gnashed their teeth and roared, "Lin Wudi, just you wait. You're dead." They had already returned to ask Hun Tian's main body to come out of seclusion. Everyone knew that after Hun Tian's main body arrived, there would be a shocking battle between the two of them. At the same time, they were also shocked. Lin Xian's methods were truly terrifying. Those princes were also on high alert as if they were facing a formidable enemy. On the other hand, the people from the Divine Hall laughed heartily. They hadn't expected this gathering to be so fruitful. He had integrated the power of so many holy lands. Lin Xian left the matter of the temple to Peacock and Xingtian. At the same time, he asked about Xia Jiuyo's situation. Xingtian said. The old palace master had not returned yet. Was he in any danger? Lin Xian shook his head. Don't worry, Elder Xia shouldn't be in danger. Lin Xian guessed that Xia Jiuyo's strength was an existence that surpassed everything. Hence, he must have his reasons for leaving. Lin Xian brought Yinyu back. After they returned, those people at the 9-Star Immortal Foundation were all stunned. Madame Purple Star personally came and asked, "Young Master Lin, are you all right? Be careful, the primal chaos race might want to take revenge on you." Lin Xian laughed when he heard that. "Don't worry, if they dare to come, I'll send them to hell." Madame Purple Star was shocked. "Young Master Lin, I really admire you. You are my idol." Lin Xian laughed. This brother of his was too polite. Madame Purple Star shook her head. She really admired Lin Xian. Honestly speaking, she was an Immortal Foundation expert, a descendant of the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty. With such an identity, Madame Purple Star had always been high up in the air, looking down on those outside. But now, after getting to know Lin Xian, she changed her mind. Everything Lin Xian did was world-shaking. She couldn't help but admire him. "Young Master Lin, you should make your preparations. It's getting closer to the opening of the fortuitous encounter. It's better to adjust your physique to the peak and be prepared at any time." "What is the creation?" Lin Xian asked. "I'm not sure about the details. I only heard that the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty has the Ascension Gate. Once you enter, you'll be able to enter the Immortal Ground." The Ascension Gate. The Immortal Ground. Lin Xian drew in a deep breath. Just the name alone sounded mysterious. The Supreme Great Tao within would definitely be extremely terrifying. Lin Xian definitely wouldn't miss it. There was still a month's time. He had to prepare well. Next, Lin Xian, Yunyue, and the others returned to their seclusion. 3 days later, someone came. Madame Purple Star said, "Young Master Lin, someone is looking for you outside." "Who is it?" "Lin Xian." Madame Purple Star simply described the situation. The other party seemed to be from the Violet Palace. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes when he heard that. It should be Qin Xiener. Where was she? Madame Purple Star said that she had returned. However, she gave him a scroll. After Lin Xian received it, he started to check it. There was indeed a message recorded by Qin Xiener inside. The content was regarding Shen Jingqiu. "Lin Xian, Shen Jingqiu has appeared. She is at the Sky Dome Immortal platform. If you want to see her, you have to be quick. If not, our Manor Lord will arrive soon." Lin Xian kept the scroll and took a deep breath. Sky Dome Immortal platform? He looked at Madame Purple Star and said, "I want to go to the Sky Dome Immortal platform to see someone." Madame Purple Star didn't ask anything. Because now, she completely admired Lin Wudi. She would support Lin Xian no matter what he did. She hurriedly brought Lin Xian to the Sky Dome Immortal platform. The Sky Dome Immortal platform was also one of the most terrifying powers. This place was located in the sky, surrounded by clouds and mist. It was abnormally mysterious. The person who came stopped. A cold voice rang out from the clouds and the guards of the Sky Dome Immortal platform walked out. Madame Purple Star stated her identity. I am a 9-star Immortal platform. So it was young Master Madame Purple Star. I wonder what young Master Madame Purple Star has come to our Sky Dome Immortal platform. I haven't seen Emote Sangqiong for a long time. I would like to see him and spar with him. Emote Sangqiong was also a highly ranked character in the Sky Dome Immortal platform. Hence, the guard hurriedly invited Madame Purple Star in. After all, Madame Purple Star's identity wasn't ordinary. They came to a palace that was like a paradise. Madame Purple Star stood with her hands behind her back. Lin Xian stood there. His gaze was looking around and there was a golden glow in his eyes. He was looking for Xin Jingqiu's whereabouts. Inside the Sky Dome Immortal platform, there were layers of restrictions and formations everywhere. Lin Xian's heavenly secret god eyes were extremely powerful. He could see through the formations to investigate. In a courtyard, a middle-aged man frowned and looked around suspiciously. A woman beside him asked what was going on. There was a pill furnace in front of them, and there were flames flickering within. Clearly they were concocting pills. The middle-aged man said, I felt that someone was probing us just now. Impossible. The other woman in flames shook her head. Who would be able to probe the formations around them? Besides, who in the Sky Dome Immortal platform would dare to probe this place? Was it because you were too nervous while concocting pills? Relax a little. Maybe you are hallucinating. The middle-aged man nodded. Maybe. He closed his eyes again. In another mountain, demonic beasts were roaring non-stop. Many people were using illusions to train these demonic beasts. And on the other side of the mountain, there was a medicinal field. Chapter 52-52. Found it? Lin Xian retracted his gaze. Then he rose into the air and left the hall. Zixing was surprised. Young Master Lin, where are you going? He hurriedly followed. After all, this was not their territory. This was the Sky Dome Immortal platform. Along the way they encountered many arrays. Lin Xian's body erupted with a terrifying aura. A void beast appeared beside him and directly jumped through space. Zixing was very anxious. Young Master Lin, where are you going? Don't tell me you're going to the core of the Sky Dome Immortal platform? There are countless old monsters there. You will be killed. Lin Xian said, I'm going to a mountain peak. There are demonic beasts there and medicinal fields. I know it's the Fallen Leaf Mountain range. I'll bring you there. Zixing heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it was not the core. Along the way there were also many guards. Zixing lied and said that he wanted to meet Emote Sangqiong there. Only then did the guards let him go. On the other side, a man in battle armor walked out. He was Emote Sangqiong. After receiving the news, the corners of Emote Sangqiong's mouth curled up. Zixing came to look for me? To spar with him? This guy is not my match. It seems that. This time I have to suppress him properly. He walked towards the hall. But when he arrived he found that the hall was empty. What's going on? Emote Sangqiong frowned. Could it be that the other party knows that he is no match for me so he left? Where is he? Emote Sangqiong waved his hand. A guard walked in from outside and knelt down on one knee. Your Highness, young Master Zixing has left. Where did he go? Emote Sangqiong frowned. He went all the way east. You may leave. Emote Sangqiong waved his hand, then he rose into the air and flew out. On the way he met a few guards. After asking, he learned that Zixing had gone to the Fallen Leaf Mountain range. Why would he go there? Emote Sangqiong frowned. An array flickered under his feet and his figure disappeared. In the Fallen Leaf Mountain range, there were countless red leaves dancing in the air. After landing on the ground, they turned into a golden color. It was very magical. In this red forest there was an open space. A medicinal field had been established there. Standing at the edge was a woman in red. She had her hands behind her back and her chin was slightly raised. Under the sunlight, the side of her face was abnormally dreamy. It was like crystal glass. If someone was here they would definitely be stunned. This woman was Xin Jingqiu. She gazed at the red leaves fluttering in the sky. No one knew what she was thinking. At this moment she suddenly frowned and turned around to look at the distant sky. Did someone come? She muttered softly. In the next instant the void split open and two figures emerged. An expert. What a terrifying aura. In an instant, Shin Jingqiu fixed her eyes on one of them. That person wore a black robe and had a handsome face. His eyes shone with a golden radiance. It seemed to be able to see through everything. This person gave her a very dangerous feeling. It's really you? It was Lin Xian. When he arrived and saw the figure in front of him, he immediately shouted out in joy. He walked forward. Stop. Shin Jingqiu shouted, and a terrifying aura spread out. Who are you? How do you know my name? Lin Xian was stunned. What do you mean? Don't you recognize me? I'm your big brother Lin Xian. Big brother Lin Xian? Shin Jingqiu was confused. He seemed a little familiar. I don't remember having a big brother. Why are you looking for me? Her voice was cold and it was surprising. What's going on? Don't you recognize me? Lin Xian was even more stunned. He couldn't believe it. Don't joke with me. What's wrong with you? Lin Xian's face turned cold. Previously, when Qin Xianer told him that Shin Jingqiu had gone to the Purple Mansion, he felt that something was wrong. Now there was indeed a problem. Didn't recognize him. Was it the work of the prefectural magistrate? Brother Lin, do you know him? Behind him, Zixing was also shocked. This scene was a little strange. Lin Xian didn't reply. Instead, he continued to walk forward. Shin Jingqiu felt a sense of danger. A golden whirlpool appeared on her body, and it exuded a terrifying strength. Don't come any closer. She drew a crack in the ground. If you step over this crack, don't blame me for killing you. Her voice was filled with cold killing intent. Lin Xian stopped in front of the crack. Pain appeared in his eyes. Do you really not recognize me? That damn Purple Mansion. How dare they attack you? Don't worry, I won't let them off. Lin Xian still wanted to walk forward. Shin Jingqiu's aura condensed. She was about to unleash an ultimate attack. However, right at this moment, the void tore open once more as a figure appeared. A figure appeared between the two of them. This figure blocked Lin Xian's path. You're attacking me here. Do you have any respect for the Sky Dome Immortal platform? The aura of the man who appeared was equally terrifying. It was like a piece of heaven. It was incomparable. Those who block me will die. Lin Xian was enraged. Now that Shin Jingqiu had such a problem, he was extremely anxious. Whoever dared to block him would be his enemy. Lin Xian took a step forward. Flames erupted from his body. He was like the god of the sun. Stop. Seeing this scene, Zixing hurriedly shouted. He flew over and said, Sir, don't attack. I'm Sangqiong. At the same time he said to Sangqiong, this is a friend I brought. He has no ill intentions. Friend? Sangqiong frowned. Lin Xian didn't attack. The other party should be the Lord of the Sky Dome Immortal platform. He retracted his palm. Sangqiong looked at Zixing and asked, What are you doing? Zixing was also confused. To be honest, I'm not too sure either. Sir Lin, can you explain? Lin Xian's gaze was fixed on Shin Jingqiu. Sangqiong frowned. Sir, she's a genius of the Violet Palace Immortal platform and a guest of our Sky Dome Immortal platform. If you dare to attack her, don't blame me for being impolite. Clearly this was a warning to Lin Xian. Zixing also said, Sir Lin, we can talk things out. She also didn't wish for Lin Xian to offend a lord of the Immortal platform. Lin Xian glanced at Sangqiong. I don't wish to be enemies with the Sky Dome Immortal platform. It's just that she's my Dao companion. Now that there's a problem with her soul, I have to save her. What Dao companion? Sangqiong frowned. Zixing was also shocked. But from the looks of it, Lin Xian shouldn't be joking. Sangqiong said, This fairy Shin is the fourth successor of the Violet Palace Immortal platform. I've never heard of her having a husband. Are you lying to me? Lin Xian coldly snorted. I've said it before. The problem with my Dao companion's soul was caused by the Violet Palace Immortal platform. I have a grudge with the Violet Palace. If you insist on helping them, don't blame me for being impolite. Lin Xian didn't wish to be enemies with the Sky Dome Immortal platform. But if the Sky Dome Immortal platform wanted to be enemies with him, then sorry. Chapter 52-53. You're too arrogant. Sangqiong was enraged. He was the lord of the Immortal Foundation and this was his territory. Was the other party threatening him? His face turned cold. At the same time he frowned. Madam Purple Star, who was he? How could you be friends with such a reckless person? Madam Purple Star was also anxious. Don't attack, he's Lin Wudi. What? Lin Wudi, the Lin Wudi on the Paragon list? Sangqiong was shocked. He had also heard of this person before. This person was now a young paragon. He was above all the other geniuses. He didn't expect him to be this person. No wonder he felt like he was facing a great enemy. But so what? Sangqiong coldly said. Lin Wuti, I know you've ascended to the 4th level of the Starfall Hall and have the possibility of becoming a great emperor. But that's just a possibility. You're still a great sage. This is the Sky Dome Immortal Foundation, not a place where you can behave atrociously. If you stop now and leave, I'll treat you with respect. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Impolite? Lin Xian coldly snorted. I've said it before, I'm taking my wife away. Anyone who tries to stop me is my enemy. Lin Xian stomped his foot, causing the surrounding sky and earth to crack. The terrifying aura caused the entire Fallen Leaf Mountain range to tremble. Countless demonic beasts crawled in the mountain range. Those beast tamers had a drastic change in expression. What a terrifying power. Sangqiong also felt a terrifying aura. Was this the power of the divine body? The other party was indeed a paragon. But he wasn't someone to be trifled with. He was also a top-notch genius. His body emitted a vast aura as though it had transformed into the sky. At the same time, countless figures rushed over from all directions. Your Highness, what happened? When they saw that someone was confronting their Highness, they all descended one after another. Who dares to behave atrociously here? Surrender without a fight. Cold shouts rang out one after another. Madame Purple Star's expression changed. Everyone, please don't attack. This is a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? Sangqiong's expression was cold. If he didn't stop, then it wouldn't be a misunderstanding. Madame Purple Star, don't blame me for not giving you face. If young Master Lin has something to say, we can talk it out. Purple Star advised. Lin Xian remained unmoved. However, at this moment, Xin Jingqiu, who had been silent all this while, opened her mouth. You are Lin Wuti? The only young supreme martial artist? I want to see what's so amazing about a supreme being like you. Your Highness, can you stop and let me fight? Please help me arrange the battlefield. Was Fairy Xin going to make a move? Sangqiong was also stunned for a moment before he nodded. All right, I'll set up the battlefield for you. With a wave of his hand, the Immortal Foundation experts in the surroundings also collected the law energy. They stood on one side and worked together to set up a formation, forming a battlefield. At the same time, they were shocked. Was this person in front of them Lin Wuti? Lin Wuti came to the Sky Dome Immortal platform to behave atrociously? One of them said. It seemed like they weren't here for us but for Fairy Shen. There was enmity between him and the Purple Mansion. Discussions rang out as Xin Jingqiu walked into the formation. I don't know why you're looking for me, but it seems like you have a lot of questions. If you can defeat me, I'll explain it to you. Xin Jingqiu said coldly. Lin Xian took a deep breath. All right, but don't worry, I won't hurt you. Hurt me? What a joke. Who do you think you are? You think you can sweep through everything just because you're on the sovereign list? I'll let you know how powerful I am. Xin Jingqiu shouted and slapped out with her palm. Her palm seemed to transform into an immortal seal that descended from the sky, carrying with it a mysterious aura. This Fairy Shen was so terrifying. When the surrounding Immortal Foundation experts saw this scene, their expressions changed. Fairy Shen was definitely at the Emperor level. She was a young powerhouse. Sangqiong also narrowed his eyes. He didn't expect the other party to be so strong. Previously, he paid attention to the other party because of her beautiful appearance. He didn't expect her strength to not be inferior to his at all. Lin Xian was also gratified. Qiu Er's improvement was godly. It was just that she didn't recognize him. This was still a hidden danger. As he thought about it, he attacked. His vast palm brought with it a sea of fire, and it grabbed forward with great momentum. Buzz! The collision between the two was earth-shattering. Lin Xian's palm was as steady as a rock, and he directly grabbed Xin Jingqiu's jade-like hand. He slapped out with his other palm, wanting to suppress Xin Jingqiu. Countless people were shocked. As expected of the legendary Lin Wuti, his methods were really too strong. Damn it. Xin Qiuqiu snorted coldly. She formed a seal with her palm and suddenly, a golden vortex erupted. She shook off Lin Xian's palm and at the same time she shouted and pointed out with her finger. There was a biting cold saber light on her finger that could split heaven and earth. Lin Xian was also surprised. He shot out a beam of sword chi to fight back. The more the two of them fought, the more shocked the crowd became. Everyone had heard of Lin Xian's methods. However, Xin Jingqiu's various ultimate techniques left them dumbfounded. Even Lin Xian was shocked. He had never seen these techniques before. They must be the ultimate techniques of the Purple Palace realm. It seemed like Shin Jingqiu was valued in the Purple Palace realm. However, what shocked him even more was the golden vortex on her body. This was the origin inheritance that she cultivated. As for what it was, he didn't know. It was very likely that it was very dangerous for Qiu. Lin Xian roared at the thought of this, and his divine ability changed. The 6 Dao fists transformed into 6 worlds that enveloped Shin Jingqiu. At the same time, a golden radiance burst out from his eyes. The terrifying power of reincarnation appeared on the reincarnation mountain. It seemed like it wanted to suppress Shin Jingqiu's soul. He wanted to see what kind of changes had happened to her soul. He guessed that the Purple Palace realm must have changed her soul. As long as he could find a flaw, he would be able to help Shin Jingqiu recover. The power of the 6 Dao reincarnation appeared, causing the world to change. The surrounding people retreated and the array kept breaking. Shin Jingqiu was also suppressed at this moment. Her soul was enveloped by Lin Xian's gaze, and it felt like it was about to be torn apart. She roared and her black hair danced wildly. "You want to pry into my soul? You're too naive." Countless golden vortexes spun around her body. In those vortexes, mysterious figures appeared one after another. The golden figures sat cross-legged as if they were gods. The moment they appeared, the 9 heavens and 10 earths shattered. The faces of those on the Sky Dome immortal platform turned pale. Even Sanxiong's pupils shrank. What is this? He felt like he was suffocating. It was too terrifying. Could even threaten his life. He retreated far away. The moment these golden figures appeared, they let out a heavenly sound that blasted in all directions. It caused the 6 Dao Fists world to shake and collapse. Shin Jingqiu rushed out and slapped at Lin Xian. There were countless vortexes in her palm, and the golden figures on them suddenly burst out with a terrifying radiance that swept everything. "Not good," Zixing exclaimed. Young Master Lin retreated quickly. He could naturally feel the terror of the golden figures. Chapter 52-54. Seeing the golden figure, Lin Xian frowned. It's that thing again. He had seen it before, and the power it carried was too terrifying. He shouted coldly, and demonic aura appeared on his body. A demonic shadow appeared behind him, holding up the heavens and earth. Once it appeared, thousands of demons filled the sky, as if a demon god was resurrected. Shin Jingqiu's palm stopped, and the light on it was suppressed. The golden figure in the vortex suddenly opened its eyes, like thousands of golden lightning streaking across the sky. Buzz! The demonic shadow behind Lin Xian's back became even more terrifying. At the same time, it raised its palm and countless demonic runes gathered on it. The confrontation between the two mysterious phantoms made everyone feel like they were facing a formidable enemy. Even Lin Xian and Shin Jingqiu were surprised, as if the situation was out of their control. The previous confrontation between the demonic shadow and the opponent was the Dragon Emperor Phantom in the Dragon Prince's body. They did not expect the same thing to happen to Shin Jingqiu. Lin Xian was surprised. He knew that the two phantoms should have many secrets, but now was not the time to think too much. He should take this opportunity to suppress Qiu, and then slowly think of a solution. Lin Xian took a deep breath, and decided to activate his sword to suppress Shin Jingqiu. A spatial crack appeared beside him, like a devouring beast, and was about to swallow Shin Jingqiu. Shin Jingqiu shouted angrily and wanted to resist. However, she was restrained by the demonic shadow. Sanxiong and the others' faces changed. "Stop it!" they shouted angrily. If Shin Jingqiu was taken away here, not only would they not be able to explain themselves, but they would also lose face. Boom! An earth-shattering sound was heard. This move was like a heavenly palace that fell from the sky, and shattered the heavens and earth. It was not Sanxiong and the others who attacked, but someone else. In the face of this terrifying attack, Sanxiong and the others retreated again. Even Purple Star retreated. Lin Xian's body swayed and he was instantly teleported. In the next moment, the demonic shadow disappeared, and he stared at the front with a solemn expression. The peak of the great sage. That's right, that palm strike just now was the peak strength of the great sage. Fortunately, he had summoned the devil shadow, so he was able to dodge it. Otherwise, he would have been torn apart by this attack. Who dared to make a move? Lin looked ahead. There was a woman in a purple robe in front of him. Her body was covered with great daos. There were even black lotus flowers blooming on his robes, making him look exceptionally demonic. Lin Xian frowned. The chief of the Z Mansion. Lin Wudi, you dare to attack someone from the Purple Mansion? Aren't you afraid that I'll kill you? The Purple Mansion headmaster's voice was sharp. She glared at Lin Xian. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was fearless. He sneered, "Come at me if you dare. You are at the peak of the great sage realm. If you make a move on me, you will break the rules. Soon, the quasi-emperors will make a move on your Purple Palace realm." Previously, Wine Lord had appeared in the human world and stopped the battle between the Thousand Dragons dynasty and Lin Xian. At the same time, he warned the world that the peak figures of the great sage were not allowed to attack Lin Xian. Hearing this, the Purple Mansion's mansion master coldly harumphed. "Don't think that you can continue to be arrogant just because you have a quasi-emperor protecting you. There was more than one quasi-emperor in the world. You offended Hun Tian. You're finished even without us doing anything. You better leave today. Otherwise, even if I don't kill you, I will make you suffer. What did you do to Chiu? Tell me and undo the seal on her soul. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." Lin Xian's body emitted a piercingly cold sword intent that soared into the sky. No matter what, he had to save Chiu today. So what if he was the Purple Mansion master? At most, he would activate the heaven-swallowing jar. Or the great dragon sword soul could unleash an extreme strike. "Young man, you are playing with fire." The chief of the Z Mansion was also furious. Although Lin Xian had countless trump cards, she was still a prefecture lord. How extraordinary was her status? How could she be threatened by a young man? A great battle was about to erupt. At this moment, the sky darkened. The sun had already set, and the moon was slowly rising. This was the alternation of day and night. It was a very normal thing. Lin Xian didn't mind. He wasn't in the mood to care about these things. However, Xin Jingqiu's expression changed. The coldness in her eyes slowly disappeared. What replaced it was a look of doubt. "Brother Lin Xian, are you here?" Lin Xian's body shook. "Chiu, you've recovered?" He was overjoyed. The Xin Jingqiu in front of him was the Xin Jingqiu that he knew. She wanted to run over but was stopped by the Purple Mansion master. "Don't forget our agreement." The old woman let go of her. Lin Xian shouted angrily. Sword chi appeared on his body again. Xin Jingqiu stopped after hearing this. She said, "I know. Brother Lin Xian, you don't have to worry about me. I'm fine. You go back first. I'll look for you one day." "Chiu, what happened to you just now? What kind of cultivation technique are you practicing?" Xin Jingqiu shook her head. "I don't know. I only know that I'm different in the day and at night. Anyway, you don't have to worry too much." "Not the same?" Lin Xian furrowed his brows tightly. Emote Sangqiong and Zixing were also surprised. "What kind of cultivation technique is this? It's too strange." "All right." Lin Xian retracted his hand and looked at the Purple Mansion master again. "Listen, if you dare to hurt Chiu, don't blame me for being rude." After he finished speaking, he turned and left. Zixing quickly followed. Did he leave? The people on the Immortal Foundation heaved a sigh of relief. They didn't know why, but they felt a lot of pressure just now. The Purple Mansion master's face was gloomy. A young man dared to threaten her. One day she would make him regret it. "All right, come with me." She turned to look at Xin Jingqiu and said in a deep voice. Her attitude towards Xin Jingqiu was not like an elder facing a young junior. She seemed to value her very much. She wondered what the Purple Mansion master was planning. Xin Jingqiu and the others also left. The Sky Dome Divine platform became quiet again. This matter was not spread out. Emote Sangqiong had ordered a lockdown. At the same time, the atmosphere in the Yuhua ancient city became tense. This was because there were only 10 days left before they could seize the opportunity of fortune. 10 days later, whether or not they could improve further would really depend on their luck. After Lin Xian returned, he also went into seclusion to cultivate. After a few days, Yen Ruyu and Murong Qingqing came out of seclusion. When they heard about Xin Jingqiu, they were also surprised. What kind of cultivation technique is this? Why is Chiu practicing such a strange cultivation technique? Yen Ryu also frowned. It should be an ancient cultivation technique. You said that she can also summon a human figure. It's very similar to your demonic shadow. I think this cultivation technique is not ordinary. You better be careful. I know. Lin Xian nodded. However, he had no choice. He was not an emperor and did not have an emperor's bloodline. He could only cultivate emperor's cultivation techniques. The only emperor's cultivation technique he had was the demon summoning scripture. Therefore, he could only cultivate it carefully. After this matter was over and he returned to the buried emperor star, he was prepared to explore the tomb of an emperor. Perhaps he did not need to do so. After all, the Yuhua immortal dynasty had produced an emperor before. Chapter 52-55. Finally, the day had arrived. The 9-star Immortal Platform's Hall Master gathered everyone. Everyone gathered together. Madame Purple Star had come to invite Lin Xian, Yen Ruyu, and Murong Qingqing. Apart from them, the 9-star Immortal Platform had also invited others. For example, the Heavenly Snake Clan from before. There were also some top-tier experts. When these people saw Lin Xian, they all sucked in cold breaths. One had to know that Lin Xian was currently the only young paragon. During this period of time, someone had divided the geniuses who had come to the Ascension Dynasty into many ranks. There was only one person who was on the young paragon list, and that was Lin Xian. He was above everyone. Those below him were called the young titans. Those at this level were those who had the strength of a prince. For example, some princes, princesses, and those who cultivated the great emperor's ancient scripture. Below them were the top-tier geniuses. These people were also extraordinary. Perhaps they had powerful saint artifacts or secret techniques. In short, they couldn't be underestimated. Everyone please follow me. The 9-star Hall Master soared into the sky and everyone followed. At the same time, the other immortal platforms in the ancient city also began to move. They gathered in the depths of the ancient city, where they would open the Ascension Gate. There was a square in the depths of the ancient city, and many people had already gathered there. Lin Xian also saw some familiar faces such as Yi Wudao, Kunpingzi, Gu Feng, Yao Guang, and the newcomer Long Wu. Xin Jingqiu and the people from the Purple Mansion were also there. These people also turned their heads and looked at Lin Xian. Among them, there were many people who had cold killing intent in their eyes. Lin Xian didn't care at all. He was looking forward to these people making a move on him. On the other side, the people from the Starfall Immortal Platform had also arrived. After they arrived, they gave Lin Xian a scroll. Speaking of which, there is some information here. Your Highness, please take a look. Also, Your Highness, you must be careful and return safely. Alright, I got it. Lin Xian smiled bitterly. The Nebula Immortal Foundation really treated him as its young master. The others were also shocked as they discussed. This Lin Xian's luck was truly good, to be able to gain the favor of 2 Immortal Foundation experts. However, there were also people who snorted coldly. They knew that the other party was about to die. The other party had slain Hun Tian's clone, and it was said that Hun Tian's main body was currently on the way here. A day later, those Immortal Foundation Hall Lords all walked out, standing in 8 different directions. They formed seals with their palms. Open the Ascension Gate. These people cut open their palms. Blood dripped down and merged into the void. The void in front of him cracked open, and a mysterious door appeared. It was unknown where it led to. What a mysterious aura. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes as he looked at the Ascension Gate. It was said that behind the mysterious door was the deity ground. What kind of magic awaited him? He was looking forward to it. Let's go. This time, Madame Purple Star would also go. She would still stay with Lin Xian and the others. Lin Xian and the others nodded and walked forward. At the same time, the others also entered, vanishing from sight. Staring at the disappearing silhouettes, the eyes of those Immortal Foundation experts flickered. They wondered how many of them would be able to obtain good fortune. Every Immortal Foundation expert had sent someone. For example, for the 9-star Immortal Foundation expert, Madame Purple Star went there. That Qin Mu from before also entered. For the other Immortal Foundation experts, there were also Immortal Foundation experts who entered. One could even say that they were the main force. Because they knew more information, the reason why they invited the other geniuses was because they wanted to have a greater chance of success. After entering, what greeted them was a mystical place. It was like a brand new world, incomparably vast, with no end in sight. The aura here was abnormally terrifying. Everyone could feel the pressure. Our strength is suppressed here. Those from the Sky Snake Clan furrowed their brows tightly. Yen Ryu's eyes flickered. What a terrifying aura. In here, it seemed that they were unable to unleash their full strength. Indeed, it was because they had to divert a portion of their strength to resist the pressure here. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He was also shocked in his heart. He wasn't unfamiliar with this pressure. This world was similar to his sword world. The pressure was extremely terrifying. One had to know that when he first entered the sword world, it was difficult for him to move an inch. Now he had already adapted to the sword world. And at this moment the pressure here was slightly smaller than the sword world. Therefore, although it was terrifying to Lin Xian, it was almost equivalent to nothing. He wasn't affected, but that didn't mean that the other geniuses weren't affected. Even the big shots were affected here. They could only unleash about 70% of their strength. And those top geniuses would probably be suppressed even more. At this moment, roars came from the distant forest. Some demonic beasts rushed out. There were a total of 5 demonic beasts. Their bodies were huge and abnormally terrifying. Their bodies emitted killing intent, which was extremely shocking. So terrifying. Even those top geniuses were shocked. In this place, every step was filled with killing intent. They had to be careful. Yunyu walked out, formed a seal with her palm and slapped out. Angel Staff, Devil Blade. The power of good and evil was used by her, sending 3 demonic beasts flying. The other 2 were sent flying by the people on Qinmu's side. These demonic beasts seemed to have grown up here since they were young, so they were not affected by the pressure. We have to be careful. Madame Purple Star and the others frowned. Qinmu said, "Good luck to everyone." With that, he waved his hand and left with his people. "Young Master Lin, let's go as well." Madame Purple Star took a deep breath and also soared into the sky. Not only Lin Xian's side, but the others also felt a huge pressure after entering. However, there were also people who were excited. In such a mysterious world, the demonic beasts inside were far superior to those outside. Then the spiritual medicines here would definitely be more terrifying than those outside. If they could obtain some heavenly treasures, then their strength would increase by an astonishing amount. A ray of light flashed and a man entered. There was no light on his body, but he could devour light. It was Yao Guang. Yao Guang, the corners of his mouth raised. There shouldn't be anyone at the peak of the great sage in this place. If that's the case, I can attack without any scruples. This time, I must taste the blood of the emperor. His eyes erupted with a sharp killing intent. Others were here to look for heavenly treasures. But he was here to hunt down the young giants. Buzz. His figure flickered and he quickly disappeared. In another void, Gu Feng Yi Wu Dao, and the others appeared one after another. At the same time outside, a ray of light streaked across the sky. It had the power to split heaven and earth. The people guarding outside all turned their heads to look. What a terrifying aura. Even some of the elders of the older generation were shocked. The pupils of the Immortal Foundation cultivators constricted. This was the power of primal chaos. Chapter 52-56. A figure descended like an ancient god. His appearance shocked everyone. He was Hun Tian. This time his main body came in person. Was this the power of the Double Crown champion? Those elders were also frightened. Hun Tian walked over and looked ahead. This must be the Ascension Gate. He walked in. Lin Wudi, just you wait. I'll make sure you die without a burial place. His cold voice made people's scalps tingle. It seemed that Hun Tian was here for revenge. This was going to be interesting. This was the true double champion. No matter how strong Lin Wudi was, would he be able to withstand it? Inside the deity ground, everyone had already scattered. Some moved alone while others formed small teams. Among them there was a team of 4 people. This team was very terrifying. These 4 people came from different places. They were all geniuses of the true spirit world's sacred grounds. They worked together to investigate. There was a valley in front of them. There seemed to be a medicinal fragrance coming from it. In their opinion, there should be a set of precious sacred herbs inside. If they could get it, it would be very beneficial for them. These people went in and fought with the demonic beasts inside. It was earth-shattering. At this moment, a figure descended from the sky and entered the valley. Who was it? Come out. In front, the people of the Dian sacred ground roared. Their sword chi swept out. Was someone trying to take advantage of the situation? The people of the 5 elements sacred ground also roared. However, that person didn't hide at all and walked in directly. With just you guys, I don't need to take advantage of the situation. Who are you? They frowned when they saw the figure in front of them. The other party didn't emit any aura. How dare he come alone? Humph, courting death. Kill him first. These people didn't attack the demonic beasts in front of them. Instead, they turned around and attacked the figure behind them. The 4 of them attacked together. Go to hell. A terrifying power erupted. Great wilderness hunter hand. The figure behind waved his hands and tore a crack, tearing one of them in half. The other 3 people's faces changed. So terrifying. Take out your ultimate techniques. The 3 of them didn't dare to be careless and used their strongest techniques. The figure sneered. You guys are pitifully weak. He reached out with both hands, forming 2 vortexes that enveloped the 2 of them. The 3rd person was sent flying with a kick, and his head was directly kicked into a bloody mist. Boom. Boom. In the blink of an eye, 4 people were seriously injured. They let out terrified roars. The 4 of them were all top-notch geniuses. If the four of them joined forces, how terrifying would that be? But now he couldn't even block a single move from his opponent. That person waved his right hand and destroyed the two of them. Then the black vortex began to devour the blood. Damn it, could this be the legendary devouring heaven demonic art? You're that light-shaking realm cultivator. Run. The two of them were terrified. This was a legendary forbidden martial art. Don't you think it's too late to find out who I am now? Yao Guang laughed coldly as he easily killed the other two. Then it swallowed all of their power. Not bad. Yao Guang's lips curled up. This training ground was really too good. In the past, if he wanted to find such a genius, he would have to search the entire world. But now, the Yuhua immortal dynasty gathered all these people in one place. When he took action, his efficiency was much higher. He believed that when he got out, his strength would undergo an earth-shattering change. When the demonic beast in front saw this scene, it was also frightened and crawled on the ground. However, Yao Guang didn't let it go. He directly swallowed this huge monster. The last sacred medicine was going to be taken away by him. On the other side, Lin Xian and the others also set off. They pressed forward courageously because their strength here was simply too strong. Although there were few people, they were all top-notch powerhouses. Lin Xian was a supreme being, and Yan Ruyu and Murong Qingqing were young powerhouses. Even Madame Purple Star had the strength of a young powerhouse. Such a lineup could be said to be heaven-defying. They were fearless. Madame Purple Star had a scroll in her hand, and so did Lin Xian. This scroll was given to him by the Nebula Immortal platform. Some information about the deity ground was recorded on it, and there was also a simple map. He compared it with Madame Purple Star and found that it was generally the same, but the details were different. It seemed that the information obtained by each immortal platform was different. In this way, Lin Xian and the others combined the two scrolls, and the information was more complete. The map shows that there seems to be a tribe ahead. With our speed, we should be able to reach it before dark. Should we go over? A tribe. Are there natives here? Murong Qingqing was surprised. Who lived in the celestial land? Are they the legendary immortals? I don't know. Madame Purple Star shook her head. Lin Xian also said, let's go and take a look. He was also very interested. The group sped up and flew forward. Finally, they arrived at the tribe before evening. The tribe wasn't big and it looked very simple. The arrival of Lin Xian and the others surprised the people in the tribe again. Are there more guests? Please come in. An old woman walked out. She was wearing cotton clothes with patches on her body. Her voice was very kind, but her appearance was very strange. Lin Xian and the others could see that not only was she not human, but she was a demonic beast, a demonic wolf, and her body was covered in green light. This was a green wolf, a rare beast of heaven and earth. She actually walked upright like a human. It was really strange. Yan Ryu was surprised. Normally, when a rare beast of heaven and earth cultivated to this level, they would still maintain the appearance of a demonic beast and disdain to transform. Otherwise, they would directly transform into a human. However, this was the first time they had seen something like this, which maintained the appearance of a demonic beast while also resembling a human. Could it be that these people couldn't transform because of special reasons? They didn't know. You guys have come from afar. Come in quickly. Granny Green Wolf invited Lin Xian and the others in. Not only Granny Green Wolf but the demonic beasts in the tribe all maintained a ferocious appearance, but they were just like humans. Not only did they walk upright but they were also very kind and polite. This is a strange tribe. Be careful. Lin Xian reminded them in a low voice. The few of them nodded but they weren't too afraid. With their strength, what danger would there be? They were confident that they could leave. After entering, they realized that they weren't the only ones who had arrived. Someone else had arrived before them. It was the Heavenly Rock Clan. The Fake Clan. When they saw Lin Xian and the others, they were stunned. Especially the Fake Clan, they gritted their teeth. There was even killing intent in their eyes. Not only did they want to kill Lin Xian but they also wanted to kill Yunyu. Yunyu, as the #1 genius of their clan, had actually become someone else's servant. This was a slap to their face. Let's go. The people of the Fake Clan gritted their teeth and snorted. They couldn't defeat Lin Wudi now. However, they weren't willing to be with Lin Wudi. Therefore, they were prepared to leave this tribe. Chapter 52-57. Hearing this, the Fake Clan was completely enraged. What? Are you trying to stop us? They were afraid of Lin Wudi, but it didn't mean that they were afraid of the people in this tribe. Suddenly, the aura of good and evil burst out from these people. It was terrifying. Granny Green Wolf sighed. Please don't be angry. I'm not trying to stop you, but it's dark outside and it's dangerous. Dark outside? Dangerous? The Fate clan sneered. Granny, do you think we're 3 years old? So what if it's dark outside? We can go anywhere in the universe. Let's go. They waved their hands and left. Granny Green Wolf sighed. A black bull walked over. He wore a loose robe and held 2 hammers in his hands. He snorted coldly. A bunch of reckless people. They'll regret it. What's the reason? Murong Qingqing was also very confused. Uncle Black Bull said, this place is very dangerous. If you go out at night, you'll die. Therefore, you can go out during the day and stay in the tribe at night. That's the safest way. When Lin Xian and the others heard this, their brows furrowed even tighter. They said that they would stay and see the situation first. They weren't too sure about the deity ground. Was there any magical power? They stayed in the tribe for about the time it took to brew a cup of tea. Suddenly, a scream of horror came from afar. Save us, let us in. The voice was filled with incomparable horror. The people in the tribe were alarmed. Lin Xian and the others walked out. The Tianping clan was also surprised. Bailey Wuck frowned. It's the Fate clan. That's right, it's the people who left before, but only 2 of them returned. One of them was still injured, while the other was pale and trembling uncontrollably. Why are there only 2 of you? Where are the other 3? Bailey Wuck asked. Dead. The 2 of them were terrified. There's a demon. They were extremely scared. What exactly happened? Bailey Wuck asked. Yin Ryu also said that they should tell them what happened. However, the 2 of them shook their heads. We don't know. We only know that there's something attacking us. Something unknown? Is it an illusion? Lin Xian asked. With your strength, you should be able to see it clearly, right? Damn it, don't look down on us, we're still top-notch geniuses. Whether it's an illusion or not, we can tell. Lin Wudi, if you don't believe me, why don't you go out and see for yourself? Lin Xian furrowed his brows tightly. However, the tribesman walked out and said, Young master, don't go. Don't go outside when it's dark. What was out there? Madame Purple Star and the others were very curious. Granny Green Wolf sighed. There are unknown things outside that we don't know about. Let's stay here for now and investigate during the day. Lin Xian also felt that something was amiss. He wasn't willing to take risks so easily. The group settled down. When night fell, everyone was cultivating. The next morning, an accident happened. The 2 Fate clan members from yesterday were nowhere to be seen. Could it be that these 2 fellows didn't know what was good for them and left again? Everyone frowned and shook their heads. They didn't care if the other party was courting death. However, there was another matter that exceeded everyone's expectations. Murong Qingqing walked over and said with a frown. Yunyu was unconscious. Hearing this, Lin Xian walked over and checked. Then his face turned cold. Yunyu's body was cold and she seemed to be dead. What happened? Who attacked? Lin Xian scoffed coldly. A terrifying aura appeared and the entire tribe seemed to be covered by 100,000 mountains. The people in the tribe were all alarmed. They looked at Lin Xian in shock. Young master. Granny Green Wolf walked over. Lin Xian said, What happened last night? Why did my companion look like this? Granny Green Wolf and the others went to check and were stunned. How did this happen? Uncle Black Bull was also stunned. I'll go find Elder Pegasus. He hurried over. Not long later, an old man walked over. It was a Pegasus with an old face. He walked very slowly. When he arrived, he exclaimed. Her soul was gone. Did she go out? She shouldn't have. Yin Ryu shook her head. If she went out, they should have noticed. Lin Xian's brows were tightly knitted together. His soul was gone. A terrifying light burst out from his eyes and shrouded Yunyu. What happened? He planted an imprint in Yunyu's soul. If her soul was gone, he should be the first to notice. However, he didn't notice it. It was really strange. This place was too scary. What was going on? Although Yunyu was just a servant, Lin Xian wouldn't allow her to die without knowing why. His expression was cold as he looked around. The people of the Tianping race were terrified. Bailey Wuck said, It has nothing to do with our Tianping race. It should be the 2 people from the Fate race who disappeared. The people in the tribe were also discussing. This was also a big matter to them. Especially the Pegasus Elder. After he determined that her soul was gone, everyone was stunned. Some people were terrified. How was this possible? Could that thing enter the village? What kind of joke was this? This was definitely impossible. Why was her soul gone? She was definitely taken away by that thing. What thing? What do you know? If you don't say it, don't blame me for being impolite. Lin Xian's sword intent swept across the sky, causing everyone to be terrified. Young master, please calm down. Let me say it. Grandma Green Wolf sighed. Last night I told you not to go out because it was dangerous outside. Once the sky turned dark, there would be soul-devouring beasts outside. Whoever went out would have their soul taken away and perish. However, soul-devouring beasts only appear when the sky turns dark and they can't enter our tribe. Only this place is safe. However, we don't know why your companion lost her soul. Damn it, it was those two people yesterday. Uncle Black Bull gritted his teeth and smashed his hammer on the ground. I should have noticed it long ago. How could people who were targeted by soul-devouring beasts come back alive? There must have been something wrong with them yesterday. This was probably the only explanation. They were too careless. According to the people in the tribe, once the sky turned dark, those who went out would never return. The two people who came yesterday was an accident. They really were careless. What were soul-devouring beasts? Where would they take their souls? Would they just die? Lin Xian asked. If her soul was still there, he would help Yunue find it. The people in the tribe told them about their experiences. Lin Xian and the others were shocked when they heard it. The people in the tribe knew that they couldn't go out at night. Their tribe seemed to have a mysterious power protecting them. It was fine outside during the day, but once it turned dark, soul-devouring beasts would appear. These soul-devouring beasts had no form and were extremely mysterious. However, there was an ancient legend that these soul-devouring beasts wouldn't swallow the souls of others. Chapter 52-58. Soul Tower. After hearing this, Lin Xian's eyes lit up. This meant that Yunue's soul should not have fallen yet. Since that was the case, he would save her. Where is the Soul Tower? He asked. Does young master want to go? Grandmother Wolf shook her head. It's useless. We know where it is, but it can't be opened during the day. Whoever goes out at night will lose their soul. This was simply unsolvable. It's fine. You just need to tell me where the Soul Tower is. Leave the rest to me. Lin Xian said. Since it was a soul-devouring beast, Lin Xian was not afraid. The other party could take away his soul? He had many trump cards. He wanted to see how the other party could take away his soul. Also, he guessed that there must be a secret for the soul-devouring beast to put its soul in the Soul Tower. This secret might be related to the soul. They had come to the celestial land in search of opportunities. But what was an opportunity? There was no specific one. Maybe someone would fall down the cliff and find the great emperor's cultivation technique. Maybe they would find an opportunity in the adventure. Now that there was a legend of the Soul Tower, Lin Xian naturally would not give up. Lin Xian asked again and again. Grandfather Pegasus sighed. He took out a map and said the place marked by the red dot was where the Soul Tower was. You can go and take a look during the day. You must come back at night. Got it. Lin Xian smiled, put away the map and prepared to go. Murong Qingqing said. We'll go with you. Yin Ryu also stood up. Madame Purple Star said I'll go too. Alright, seeing that these people were willing to go, Lin Xian nodded. Then let's see how magical the soul-devouring beast is. They set off. Bailiwuck did not go. After all, this place was too strange. The people of the Tianping tribe also went to look for other opportunities. At noon, Lin Xian and the others arrived. However, there was nothing in front of them. There was nothing. It can't be wrong, right? Murong Qingqing frowned. Lin Xian's eyes emitted a golden light that surrounded everything. Indeed, he did not find anything. He said, didn't the people of the tribe say that they could not enter during the day and would only appear at night? It should be like this. Let's wait. It's only half a day. Lin Xian and the others sat cross-legged and waited. During this period of time, a few figures flashed past them. Big brother, look there. Those people were just standing there. Could it be that they had some kind of treasure? Let's go and take a look. A few figures soared into the air and flew over. There's someone. Madame Purple Star and the others below all opened their eyes and turned their heads to look. In the next moment they had a few people's flaming aura flames their bodies. In fact, there were even scales that were flickering in some places. The terrifying aura was shocking. Murong Qingqing frowned while Yen Ryu said, Qilin race. Correct, we are Fire Qilin Caves people, Emperor clans. Now I'm asking you all, what are you all doing here? Was there a treasure? If you have it, hand it over. 3 figures stood in the sky with their hands behind their backs. Their eyes were filled with confidence. They were a great emperor's clan. These people would obediently show them their treasures when they saw them. So what if it was Fire Qilin Cave? Get lost. Disappear from my sight before I change my mind. Lin Xian said coldly. He was not in a good mood. You're courting death. You dare to challenge me? The man in front of the fire Qilin cave shouted angrily. His body let out a Qilin roar and monstrous flames swept out. Lin Xian waved his hand and slashed out, splitting the flames in the sky. The fire Qilin man was also split in half. The other two were stunned. They were terrified. You dare to kill our emperor clan? Do you want to die? Who exactly are you? Lin Xian snorted coldly. My name is Lin Wudi. If you're not convinced, come and find me in the fire Qilin cave. What? You're Lin Wudi? When the other two Qilin clan heard this, they were so scared that they fell from the sky. Their faces were filled with fear. This was an existence that killed the dragon prince. With the shadow of a tree in the name of a person they could not resist at all. Leave quickly. The two of them fled quickly. They didn't dare to be arrogant anymore. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He wanted to attack, but he stopped at this moment. Because he realized that the sky had darkened. Was night coming? Ignoring the two people from the fire Qilin cave, Lin Xian turned around. Would the soul tower come out when night came? In the open space in front of him, the illusion of a pagoda indeed appeared. It was incomparably dark and mysterious. It gradually solidified. There really was. Murong Qingqing and the others were surprised. This place was really strange. During the day their souls couldn't detect it, but when night came the soul tower would come out. They finally found it. A smile appeared on Lin Xian's face. He stood with his hands behind his back and waited quietly. At this moment, the soul tower had not completely solidified. After waiting for about half an hour, the sun had completely set. The surroundings became dark. A fog flew out from the soul tower and spread in all directions. At the same time, blood-red eyes flickered. These should be the soul-devouring beast. After they came out, they should have flown in all directions to capture souls. But this time they were stunned. Because they realized that there were these four figures near them. But one of the soul-devouring beasts was very fast. It turned into lightning and flew towards Lin Xian and the others. In an instant it arrived in front of Lin Xian and the others. The black fog enveloped them. At this moment, Lin Xian slashed out with his sword. The biting cold sword light sent the other party flying. With a roar, the black figure flew backward. Damn it, who are you? The voice was abnormally low, making one's scalp tingle. Lin Xian snorted coldly. It could still speak. It seemed that it was also a living creature. Pretending to be mysterious. Hand over the souls of my companions and tell me the secret of the soul tower. I can spare your lives. The soul-devouring beast in front was stunned. What did the other party say? Was the other party threatening him? He didn't know what was good for him. He let out a shrill cry. Immediately the surrounding soul eaters flew out. They enveloped Lin Xian and the others. Pairs of blood-red eyes stared at them, making Purple Star's hair stand on end. Murong Qingqing and the others also frowned. Stupid humans, how dare you provoke us? These people's souls are very powerful. Capture them and seize their souls. We will be heavily rewarded. They laughed sinisterly. Then a few figures pounced over. Purple Star roared angrily. Get lost. He struck out with a palm. The palm was incomparably vast as it struck towards the soul-devouring beast. However, it was useless. The soul-devouring beast was invisible and directly passed through the palm of stars. It pounced on Purple Star. Purple Star was stunned. Previously he saw Lin Xian easily send the other party flying with a sword. He thought that the soul-devouring beast was not a big deal, but now it seemed that was not the case. The soul-devouring beast was very strange. Chapter 52-59. Murong Qingqing and Yen Ryu were the same. Their divine abilities were all easily dodged by the other party, and their souls were also threatened. Yen Ryu snorted coldly, and a green lotus phantom appeared behind her, swaying rapidly. A terrifying aura spread out and froze heaven and earth. At the same time it protected her soul. On Murong Qingqing's side, a seven-colored light surrounded her soul, turning into a seven-colored phoenix that soared into the sky. They had all blocked this threat. Zixing was also angry, and a purple star appeared between her brows. Murong Qingqing and Yen Ryu had extraordinary bloodlines, and Zixing was also extraordinary. After all, she was a descendant of the Yuhua immortal dynasty. For a moment all three of them blocked the attack. This surprised the soul-devouring beast. The bloodlines of these three people were not ordinary. Even if they encountered the top genius, they could easily take away the other party's soul. But this time something unexpected happened. At this moment someone stared at Lin Xian. Kill. They felt that Lin Xian didn't have any special bloodline, so they quickly charged over. Lin Xian sneered. Stupid. With a wave of his hand, a dragon-shaped sword energy flew out, instantly splitting heaven and earth. The two soul-devouring beasts screamed as they were split in half. Damn it, what's going on? He can actually hurt us. The two soul-devouring beasts were stunned. One had to know that they couldn't take Yen Ryu's soul, but the other party couldn't hurt them. But this young man in front of them was too strange. The other party could injure them at first sight. They couldn't get close to him at all, let alone take his soul. Since you don't want to say anything, then I'll take your souls. Lin Xian's eyes erupted with a golden light that surrounded all directions. At this moment, the heavenly secret divine eyes opened. What a joke, you want to take our souls? The soul-devouring beast sneered. Who could suppress them in terms of souls? These people were disdainful. However, when they saw the golden light of reincarnation, their souls changed. They trembled and were sent flying one by one. There was even a black mist coming out of their bodies. Damn it, what is this? The power of reincarnation. His eyes are so magical. Countless exclamations rang out. At this moment they seemed to have met their nemesis. Damn it, these soul-devouring beasts had all gone crazy. At night they were like gods and no one could resist them. Even a young magnate like Yunyu had been captured by them, let alone the others. But now this kid in front of him was too strange. Not only could it hurt them, that pair of eyes was enough to threaten them. For a moment they roared madly. There were also some soul-devouring beasts in the ancient soul pagoda. These beasts seemed to be of a higher level. The red light in their eyes formed a mysterious pattern. One of the tall soul-devouring beasts said coldly, "What's going on outside? Why is it so noisy?" Another soul-devouring beast floated over and said, "Reporting to the elder, there seemed to be a few humans nearby. Humans came here? He didn't know what death was. Did they think that they were strong enough to come here and behave atrociously? Activate the surrounding formations to suppress them and seize their souls. Elder, don't worry, I know what to do." The other soul-devouring beasts formed hand seals. Suddenly, the void around them shook, and the ancient soul pagoda shone brightly. Countless black chains flew out from within, blotting out the sky and covering the earth. It flew into the distance like a black dragon. Outside, Murong Qingqing and the others were also stunned. They felt a huge aura pervading the air. In the next moment they saw those chains rushing towards them. Not good. Someone attacked them again. They shouted angrily and used their ultimate skills to block these chains. An earth-shattering sound came. A great battle broke out. Those chains were very mysterious. Even if they were attacked by Murong Qingqing and the others, they wouldn't be damaged. They were just shaken. At this moment, another soul-devouring beast walked out. He held a walking stick in his hand and shouted coldly, "A mere human dared to behave atrociously here. Kneel down and submit." As his voice fell, these black chains became even more terrifying, directly attacking the soul. They wanted to seal the soul. This terrifying scene made Zixing and the others feel as if they were facing a great enemy. Yen Ryu and the others danced with their divine abilities, but they were still suppressed. It was too terrifying. As expected of something left behind by the Yuhua immortal dynasty. It was a threat to these people. The others would definitely die. What should they do? Should they retreat? Zixing gritted his teeth and said. Murong Qingqing shook her head and listened to Brother Xian. She knew that Lin Xian had many trump cards, and he probably hadn't used all of them yet. "Young Master Lin, why don't we retreat first and think of a way later?" Zixing gritted his teeth and said. He felt that he wouldn't be able to hold on for too long. From his point of view, Lin Xian might be strong, but he would definitely die if he were to go against such a strange ancient soul tower. He had no choice but to rescue Yunua's soul today. Facing such an attack, Lin Xian wasn't afraid at all. He formed a seal with his palms, and the golden light in his eyes became even brighter. At the same time, a pair of eyes formed in the sky, looking down. As soon as this pair of golden eyes appeared, countless gazes descended. Then they landed on these black chains. The black chains shook violently. It was as if they had encountered a raging fire and were about to be melted. What was this? This flame was too strange. The surrounding soul-devouring beasts were shocked. Some people said that it didn't matter. Their chains were made of extremely precious metals. A kid like him wouldn't be able to break them. As soon as they finished speaking, there were cracking sounds around them. Hundreds of chains were burned. How was this possible? The soul-devouring beasts were dumbfounded, as if they had seen a ghost. They knew the power of these chains. It was because of this that they were extremely confident. But now the other party had broken them so easily. This guy's strength was too terrifying. Damn it. The soul-devouring beast with a walking stick in the soul tower was even more shocked. The metal used to make these black chains was extremely precious. Even they didn't have any extra. Now that the chains were broken, his heart was bleeding. Damn it. Attack him. The black chains kept shaking, forming a peerless array that charged into the sky. They wanted to suppress that eye. In an instant, the reincarnation flames of the heavenly secret divine eye were even more terrifying. There were even reincarnation mountains that descended and bombarded the chain array. Both sides fought fiercely. The soul-devouring beast looked at the golden eye in shock. Why did this eye look so much like the legendary one? But it shouldn't have appeared. Just as he was thinking, Lin Xian shot out sword chi again. The huge sword slashed down from the sky, directly shattering hundreds of chains. Oh! The soul-devouring beast with a walking stick roared crazily. His opponent still had a trump card. He shouted angrily and retreated, closing the soul tower. Today he had met his nemesis. Let's close the soul tower first. The surrounding soul-devouring beasts were shocked. Closing the soul tower? Did this mean that they had lost? How was this possible? How could a young kid be so terrifying? Although they were unwilling, the scene in front of them still shocked them. They retreated and entered the soul tower. Chapter 5260. How dare you? How dare you attack? Seeing the other party charging over, the elder in the tower shouted angrily and waved his walking stick. Suddenly, 8 pearls appeared around him. These were soul-devouring pearls. 8 pearls could suppress everything. Let's see how you die. The surrounding soul-devouring beast sneered. As soon as the soul pearls appeared, Zixing and the others also felt that their souls were greatly suppressed. Young Master Lin, be careful. He shouted to remind Lin Fan. Lin Xian, on the other hand, pressed forward. The Hellfire Dragon sword appeared in his hand and he slashed around. The sword slashed on one of the soul pearls. You want to go against the soul pearls? What a joke. The elder sneered. The soul pearls directly suppressed the soul. The other party's attacks couldn't be launched at all. Just wait, the other party will definitely die in the next moment. But in the next moment, the smile on his face disappeared. There was a cracking sound in front of him. Lin Xian's sword slashed on the soul pearls. The soul pearls were split in half. How is this possible? How did you split them? The elder was shocked. But there was something else that made him even more shocked. The next 7 soul pearls were all split by Lin Xian. Lin Xian was like a sword god sweeping in all directions. Wherever the sword went, it was unparalleled. It was too terrifying. This sword technique was like a divine sword. Nothing in the world could block it. Especially the last sword, it even split heaven and earth. The 8 soul pearls scattered on the ground. The elder with the walking stick spat out a mouthful of blood. He fell from the sky. His face was pale in disbelief. Who was this young man? The other soul-devouring beasts were also frightened. They quickly retreated and gathered. Even their elder was defeated. Who could defeat him? Elder, are you okay? They came to the front and asked nervously. The elder stood up with the help of his walking stick. His body was shaking. Retreat quickly. The group quickly retreated into the soul tower. Lin Xian was still striding forward. Murong Qingqing and the others quickly followed behind. The group was very fast. Zixing was stunned. He had never seen such a sword technique. It was far beyond his imagination. It seemed like Lin Xian was the bane of the ancient soul towers. Lin Xian and the others walked in. Within the ancient soul pagoda, countless soul auras appeared and charged towards Lin Xian. There were even 2 elders who quickly launched sneak attacks to kill him. In the end, he was sent flying by Lin Xian's swords and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. The 3 great elders were stupefied. Damn it, they actually couldn't do anything to him. Activating the 72 soul swords. The 3 elders roared furiously, taking out their most powerful trump cards. The sound of a battle resounded between heaven and earth. The 72 streaks of sword light were like flying immortals as they attacked at high speed. Not good, quickly defend. Murong Qingqing and the others also roared angrily, using all their strength to defend their souls. These soul swords were truly too terrifying. Let's see how you block it this time. The 3 elders coldly shouted. The 72 soul swords were formed from the souls of countless powerhouses that they had collected and cultivated for 3,000 years. Back then he had nurtured 1,000,000 spiritual swords, but in the end he only managed to condense 72 of them. One could only imagine how terrifying the 72 soul swords were. Even if a saint was slashed by a sword, his soul would undoubtedly die. The 72 swords covered the sky and covered the earth as they attacked Lin Xian. The void around Lin Xian continued to shatter, turning into black holes. All sorts of terrifying scenes appeared. Lin Xian's soul also shook violently. One could imagine how terrifying these attacks were. He coldly shouted, and a shocking radiance burst out from his eyes. The hell sword in his hand was displayed to the extreme. The great dragon sword soul roared, and one after another piercingly cold sword chi swept in all directions. Sword art, origin, restoration. The sword slashed out, drawing an arc that swept across heaven and earth. This was Lin Xian's self-created sword art. Its power was unparalleled. Under this sword, a thunderous sound resounded in all directions. He attacked powerfully like a god of death, and the 72 soul swords were all sent flying, dim and without light. Which stone pillars and array formations in the surroundings were emitting cracking sounds. The faces of the people in the ancient soul pagoda changed. He was too strong and they were in despair. The three great elders kept vomiting blood. They were completely helpless against it. Please help the ancient soul pagoda. They knelt on the ground and looked at the top of the ancient soul pagoda. They kept kowtowing. With their current strength they couldn't resist at all. They could only ask for help from an even more mysterious existence. No one can save you. Lin Xian's voice was cold as he walked forward. However, at this moment, a cold shout came from above the ancient soul pagoda. Good. How dare you? You dare to behave atrociously in the ancient soul pagoda? In the sky, a palm-sized pagoda appeared. The pagoda was translucent and abnormally terrifying. It transformed into a blurry face. Was this the ancient soul pagoda? Seeing this scene, the three elders and the other soul-devouring beasts all cheered happily. Great, the ancient soul pagoda has appeared. The ancient soul pagoda was the second most powerful expert after the ancient soul pagoda master. He could suppress everything. Once I catch this brat, I must tear him to pieces. Tear his tendons. Peel his skin. Let his soul suffer the torture of eternity. These people had sinister expressions. Haha, go to hell, kid. The small pagoda in the sky descended from the sky like an ancient divine mountain, bringing with it terrifying heavenly might. Not good. Zixing and the others were in despair. Lin Xian shouted coldly and rushed up. A black jar appeared in his hand, and he slapped it at the small pagoda in the sky. The two collided, but there was no sound. Instead, the surrounding sounds disappeared. A strange scene appeared. The terrifying small pagoda was directly swallowed by the black jar. A vortex in the sky kept spinning as if it could swallow everything. What happened? The three elders and the soul-devouring beasts were stunned. They looked up at the sky in disbelief. The second strongest expert in their eyes, the ancient soul pagoda, actually disappeared in an instant. Could it be that it was killed in one move? This was the hope in their hearts. They couldn't block the other party's attack? They were in despair. Had a young god of heaven arrived? What? Why was there such a terrifying person? Lin Xian landed with the heaven-swallowing jar in his hand and snorted coldly. What other tricks do you have? The surrounding people were trembling in fear, not daring to respond. Lin Xian snorted. Let me ask you, where are the souls that you suppressed? Is there a woman called Yunyu? Yunyu? The three elders were stunned. Reporting to young master, we collect many souls every day. Which one are you talking about? Last night, the soul that you suppressed had the strength of a young giant, the emperor level. Such a soul is rare, right? The three elders were stunned. It's her. They remembered that they had indeed brought back a magical soul yesterday. They knelt on the ground. The young giant's soul was personally suppressed by the pagoda lord. It wasn't here. It wasn't here? Lin Xian frowned. Do you want to die? His body emitted a terrifying killing intent, and at the same time, a black vortex appeared. The surrounding soul-devouring beasts were terrified. This vortex could even swallow their pagoda spirit. Not to mention them. The three elders kept kowtowing. Young master, please spare us. We don't dare to hide anything. Chapter 5261. Abyss of Souls? What was that place? Lin Xian frowned. He activated his heavenly secret god eye and searched the soul tower thoroughly. Indeed, he did not find Yunyue's soul. The Abyss of Souls was an abyss, a sacred place for souls. It was very mysterious. All 36 soul towers belonged to the Abyss of Souls. This time, our pagoda master was ordered to go to the Abyss of Souls. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes when he heard that. It should be an existence even more terrifying than the Soul Tower. But why did he want Yunyue's soul? As of the arch-level genius, Yunyue's soul was very terrifying. Perhaps it had some special use. Thinking of this, he snorted coldly. Tell me the location of the Abyss of Souls. After Lin Xian received the information, he snorted coldly and looked in all directions. The purpose of your soul tower is to increase souls, right? Why do you collect so many souls? Is there a cultivation method? Tell me. If you can improve our souls, I might spare your lives. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. The three elders were so scared that their faces turned pale. We naturally don't dare to hide anything from you. However, everything is decided by the pagoda spirit and the pagoda master. Now that the pagoda spirit has disappeared, there's nothing we can do. You're talking about this, right? Lin Xian snorted coldly and waved his sleeve. A vortex appeared and suppressed the small tower. Lord Pagoda Spirit. The three elders exclaimed in shock. Lin Xian snorted. Obediently tell me the cultivation method, or you'll fall into hell forever. Damn it, the pagoda spirit roared crazily. Extreme weapon, you're from the arch race. The other soul-devouring beasts were also terrified. No wonder their pagoda spirit was suppressed. It was an extreme weapon. These people were definitely not to be trifled with. Lin Xian sneered. It was good that they knew. Next, they obtained the method to cultivate their souls. The few of them sat under the soul pillars and began to cultivate. The power of the entire soul tower gathered and enveloped everyone. After a day, Lin Xian and the others opened their eyes and stood up. Lin Xian roared and the entire soul tower shook violently. Great. He could feel that his soul had been upgraded. The golden light in his eyes became deeper, and he was very close to the Rinnegan. However, it was still not enough. Murong Qingqing, Yan Ryu, and Zixing were also overjoyed. Their souls had also been strengthened. Furthermore, it was a great improvement. Great, as expected of the celestial land. In just one night they had undergone earth-shattering changes. Was there any power left? Give it to me. Lin Xian and Leng He harumphed. The pagoda spirit was about to cry. There's nothing left. We've been collecting energy for thousands of years, but you've used it all up in a single day. His heart was bleeding. If the pagoda master were to return, how were they going to explain themselves? Elder brother Xian, don't they have 36 soul towers? We can go somewhere else. Murong Qingqing said. Yan Ryu also said that it was better to go directly to the Abyss of Souls. There should be even more powerful soul energy there. That's right. Lin Xian nodded and headed towards the Abyss of Souls. Firstly, he could continue to save Yunyue. Secondly, he hoped to obtain more power. Let his eyes evolve into Rinnegan. I can spare your lives, but you won't be able to get out for a long time. Lin Xian waved his hand and swallowed the entire soul tower with the whirlpool formed by the heaven-swallowing jar. After I'm done with my business, I'll let you out. Thank you for not killing us. Those soul-devouring beasts kept kowtowing. They didn't dare to resist at all. Lin Xian and the others flew towards the Abyss of Souls according to the information they received. After flying for about a day, they arrived at the Abyss of Souls. The Abyss of Souls was indeed an abyssal canyon. It was abnormally mysterious. When one soul went in, it was as if it had entered a quagmire. Go. The few of them jumped down. As soon as they entered, angry shouts came from the black clouds. They stopped. A few souls appeared in front of them, blocking their way. Who are you? How dare you barge into the Abyss of Souls? How bold. Don't you know the rules of the Abyss of Souls? Only souls could enter here. Otherwise they would be killed without mercy. They could see that Lin Xian and the others had come in with their main bodies, so they stopped them. How dare you stop me? Lin Xian snorted coldly. Golden light flickered in his eyes. The power of reincarnation charged forward. Cracks appeared on the bodies of the souls in front. No, what kind of power was this? The other party could kill them instantly with a glance. Senior, please spare our lives. They hurriedly kowtowed. We didn't know that Senior was coming. Please forgive us. Can my main body enter now? Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back and asked coldly. Of course he could. The few spirits nodded their heads continuously and made way for him. Lin Xian sneered and walked in. It wasn't until Lin Xian and the others disappeared that the souls heaved a sigh of relief. Was that the eye of a god? Why was it so terrifying? I feel like he could kill us with a glance. Which ancient soul tower is he from? Why haven't we seen him before? You don't want to live anymore. How dare you inquire about his identity? He's not an existence we can understand. These people were terrified. They didn't dare to take revenge. As for breaking the rules, they didn't care because these rules were prepared for the weak. The strong should sweep through everything and ignore everything. Lin Xian and the others descended into the depths of the abyss of souls. Murong Qingqing looked around and said, "What a strange aura." They were all souls. Yen Ryu was also delighted. Here they could definitely find the power to enhance their souls. Lin Xian used his soul as he descended. His golden eyes shrouded the surroundings. He began to search for Yun Yu's soul, but he didn't find it. However, he found that the souls below were very powerful. They were definitely at the level of a great sage. Some were even more terrifying. Among them, he found a man in a black robe. The other party's aura was very similar to the ancient soul tower he was in previously. Lin Xian guessed that this should be the ancient soul tower master. Thinking of this, he snorted. If he found the ancient soul tower master, he would know Yun Yu's whereabouts. Thinking of this, he increased his speed. The bottom of the abyss was incomparably vast. It was shocking. The terrain here was like a gourd. It was narrow in the middle but wide at the bottom. When Lin Xian and the others descended, they naturally attracted the attention of others. Those who could come here were all soul experts. When they saw Lin Xian and the others come with their true bodies, they were naturally surprised. Immediately, countless gazes fell on these people. Purple Star felt his scalp tingle. Although he was a young tycoon, those who could come here were no weaklings. For a moment they were facing a great enemy. Which ancient soul tower were these young people from? They didn't follow the rules and dared to come with their true bodies? I think they don't know what's good for them. Chapter 5262. Such a beauty was rarely seen in their lives. A cold light burst out from their eyes. If they could get their hands on her, it would be a pleasant surprise. Immediately, a soul floated over. How should they address this fairy? It's your first time here. Why don't I bring you along? As soon as he said that, Murong Qingqing shouted coldly and struck out with her palm. A terrifying seven-colored light carried the Phoenix clan's peerless divine ability as it charged forward. Soul-piercing. With a miserable scream, the soul was torn into pieces. Damn it, how dare you attack? The surrounding souls were in an uproar. They were all dumbfounded. One had to know what this place was. This was the abyss of souls. Who dared to attack here? Wasn't this courting death? Damn it, kill him. Another 3 souls rushed over. Murong Qingqing was cold. She formed a seal with her palm and sent out a phoenix phantom that soared into the 9 heavens. The 3 souls were sent flying. Lin Xian looked around and looked ahead. He said, "I can sense the tower master's aura in the mansion ahead. Let's go." He walked forward. Damn it. Stop them. Don't let them come over. The surrounding people shouted angrily. In an instant, these people attacked one after another. They wanted to suppress the other party. They wanted to see who the other party was to be so daring. These people quickly attacked. Purple Star and Yen Ryu also attacked. Purple Star struck out with a terrifying Milky Way palm. Yen Ryu condensed and formed green lotuses that covered heaven and earth. Those green lotuses turned into terrifying swords that swept across heaven and earth. A great battle broke out in an instant. The young powerhouses were extremely powerful. They swept across all the souls, forcing them to retreat. Stay here. At that moment, an angry roar was heard. An extremely terrifying soul appeared. It was the soul of an old man. It was very terrifying. Its appearance caused everyone's scalps to go numb. It was an expert from the second soul tower. He had the terrifying soul cutter saber. A single slash would destroy both the body and soul. It was said that this person had once killed 3 saint experts with a single slash. It was truly terrifying. Let's see how these brats will die this time. The old man in the sky shouted angrily. The soul cutter saber descended from the sky and slashed at Yen Ryu. Yen Ryu coldly snorted. She pushed out her jade-like palm, and the green lotus behind her kept swaying. The green lotus divine sword collided with the soul-severing saber. With a clanging sound, the soul-slashing saber broke into 2 halves. The soul old man was pierced through by the sword. Defeated? Countless people were shocked. That was the soul-severing blade. They were defeated so easily. The strength of these people was far beyond their expectations. Then Yen Ryu and the others swept through the area. A few more soul experts came out, but they were all defeated. Some of them were even killed. The others were horrified. This was a young giant. Moreover, there were 3 young giants. It was too terrifying. Why would these people come here? They were all shocked and no one dared to make another move. Lin Xian did not attack. There was no need for him to do anything here. He walked towards the mansion in front of him. The others were alarmed. It couldn't be, right? This guy wanted to go inside? The people inside were all top-notch soul experts. They were all pagoda masters. No matter how strong they were, they would definitely die if they went in. These people must be crazy. In front of them, the mansion was indeed the core area. Even the soul experts outside were not qualified to enter. Those who could enter were all pagoda masters. Inside the mansion, there were 12 thrones that surrounded a plaza. There was a figure sitting on each throne. They were all soul bodies. However, they were abnormally terrifying. The auras on them were as deep as the sea, as if they could suppress everything. Each of them could kill tens of millions of souls with a single move. These people had different expressions. Some were old, some were young. Some were beautiful women. However, sitting in the center was a woman. A young woman. This woman was also a soul body. Her face was beautiful, but her eyes were empty. The soul aura on her body was abnormally powerful. This caused the other 11 pagoda masters to exclaim in admiration. Princess Soul, your aura has become stronger than before. Your strength is even stronger than those princes outside. If this continues, your soul will enter its peak state. You are invincible. It was truly a joyous occasion for a peerless expert like the princess to appear in the abyss of souls. After hearing this, the beautiful woman's lips curled into a smile. She was the young master of the abyss of souls. She was also a young top-notch expert. Pagoda masters, you are too kind. I still have a long way to go in the cultivation of the soul path. Compared to my grandfather, I am much weaker. However, I am very happy this time. 6th Pagoda Master, thank you for bringing back the soul of a young powerhouse. Furthermore, it's a soul with dual powers. If I can completely absorb it, if I can fully absorb it, my soul path will reach another level. After saying this, the soul path princess curled up the corners of her lips. She was truly very happy. At this moment, a middle-aged man on the 6th throne stood up and said with a smile, "It is good that the princess is happy." He was the palace master of the 6th soul palace. Previously he was the one who suppressed Yunua's soul. Now he had given it to the princess to please her. If the princess made a breakthrough this time, her strength would be too strong. Those princes could not be compared to her at all. The other pagoda masters also laughed. Up ahead, the soul path princess snorted coldly. What are those princes? Do they think they can be high and mighty just because they have the bloodline of a great emperor? I will trample them under my feet. However, I heard that there are 2 people who are very terrifying. Are you talking about the Double Crown King Hun Tian? He is from the Primal Chaos tribe and is indeed very strong. The Double Crown King is above the princes. One of the elders said. Another man said. The other person should be Lin Wudi. He was the only one who had made it onto the sovereign leaderboard. These 2 people were indeed extraordinary. After hearing this, the soul path princess took a deep breath. She clenched her jade-like hands and said, I know them. Of course, I know these 2 people. I will definitely surpass them. Her eyes were filled with strong confidence. After saying this, she stood up. What, Lin Wudi? Is he worthy of being on the sovereign leaderboard? That is because I did not make a move. If I did, only I can be on the sovereign leaderboard. After saying this, a powerful soul aura emanated from her body, forming a terrifying soul vortex. The surrounding pagoda masters were also shocked. The princess's strength had increased again. They all congratulated her. However, at this moment, a rumbling sound came from afar. Following that, the gate of the mansion shattered, and a large spatial crack appeared on the array formation. It spread from afar like 10,000 bolts of lightning. The surrounding people's expressions changed. What's going on? Who dares to behave atrociously here? The surrounding pagoda masters were all stunned. For a moment they did not react. Soon someone stood up. What's going on? Chapter 5263. A cold snort was heard. However, the world was silent and no one responded. From the crack, a few figures walked out. At the front was a man wearing black clothes and strolling leisurely. He was like a banished immortal. Beside him were 2 beautiful women who looked like fairies from the 9 heavens. Beside them was a man wearing a starry battle robe. The 4 of them were mighty and extraordinary. Who are you people? Do you know where this is? Someone shouted. The other old man coldly snorted, Go die. A cold light appeared in his eyes and turned into a divine sword that slashed down. It was a powerful eye technique. When executed by this old man, it was truly terrifying. This old man had an extraordinary background. He was the 8th Pagoda Master. His strength was extremely powerful and was an extremely terrifying existence among the saints. In addition, he was using a spirit sword eye technique. It was enough to pierce through the soul of an expert of the same level, making the opponent suffer a fate worse than death. The sword light attacked Murong Qingqing. Murong Qingqing snorted coldly. Her hand formed a phoenix seal and she rushed out, striking the spiritual sword eye technique and producing a thunder-like sound. The surrounding void continued to shatter. This attack was evenly matched. The spirit sword eye technique was repelled and Murong Qingqing retracted her palm. She actually blocked it. The 8th Pagoda Master was shocked and couldn't believe it. The surrounding people were also shocked. They knew how terrifying that old man's strength was. It was really strange that he was blocked by a young woman. It seemed like their strength wasn't ordinary. Let's attack together and take him down. Another middle-aged woman stood up. The others also had cold expressions as they looked at Murong Qingqing and the others. Their eyes were bursting with cold killing intent. Lin Xin walked out and looked ahead. 6th Pagoda Master? He said coldly. 2 days ago you suppressed the soul of a woman called Yunyu. Hand over her soul and I'll give you a quick death. The 6th Pagoda Master's pupils contracted. Yunyu? Although he didn't know who she was, it should be the soul that he gave to the Soul Dao Princess. He snorted and suddenly stood up. How bold. In the abyss of souls, is there a place for you to be impudent? Still not kneeling? Brat, are you ignoring me? The elder who had attacked earlier, the Tower Master of the 8th Chaotic Tower, was furious. Was the other party looking down on him? Go to hell. In the sky, a pair of eyes appeared, turning into the terrifying eyes of a deity. Millions of spiritual swords emerged from them. The power of this attack was much stronger than the previous ones. The old man roared. The other pagoda masters also snorted coldly. They were all peerless experts, and a few youngsters wanted to behave atrociously in front of them. He really didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. In the face of such a terrifying attack, Lin Xin's eyes also erupted with a golden light. Following that, the power of reincarnation formed a mountain peak that came crashing down. It collided with the spiritual sword eye technique. An earth-shattering sound rang out. The tens of thousands of spiritual swords were suppressed by the reincarnation mountain and shattered into pieces. The 8th pagoda master spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. How could this be? He roared. The reincarnation mountain came crashing down on him, shattering his soul into pieces. With a scream, the 8th pagoda master's soul was destroyed. When the others saw this scene, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. Dead. Impossible. The 8th pagoda master was an expert, and his eye technique was terrifying. But now he was killed in a single move. Who was that kid? Golden eyes. What kind of eye technique was that? They were extremely shocked. You also wanted to attack earlier? Lin Xin turned to look at the other woman. That middle-aged woman was the 9th chaotic tower master. When she felt Lin Xin's gaze, her body trembled and she took 2 steps back. Lin Xin sneered. Trash. What did you say? The 9th pagoda master roared. Although the other party was strange, he really couldn't tolerate it. A dazzling light appeared in his hand, dazzling everyone's eyes. It was the soul-snatching technique. One palm could snatch away a person's soul. His strength wasn't weaker than the old man from before. This soul-snatching hand made Zixing and the others feel as if they were facing a great enemy. However, Lin Xin snorted coldly. The golden light in his eyes was even more terrifying. Soul path fire. Endless soul flames flew out and charged towards the soul-snatching hand. The 2 sides collided intensely. Were they evenly matched? Countless people were shocked. Suddenly, there was a cracking sound as the 9 heavens shattered. Cracks appeared on the soul-snatching hand, and it was charred black. No way, the 9th pagoda master was also defeated? They were shocked. The 9th pagoda master retracted his palm, and his expression became ugly. Damn it. However, at this moment his pupils constricted. Lin Xin waved his hand. Demon God finger. On his finger, there was a shocking demonic aura that pierced through heaven and earth. This finger was like a demon descending and directly piercing through the 9th pagoda master's forehead. The 9th pagoda master's head shattered, and he fell into a pool of blood. Another one died. The surrounding people went crazy. In the blink of an eye, 2 pagoda masters died. This made them feel like they were dreaming. They couldn't believe it at all. Who was this young man? He was too terrifying. His golden eyes were obviously an extremely terrifying eye technique. Not only that, but that finger just now was also a top-tier lost art. This person's physique and soul were very powerful. Who was he? These people began to recall. On the path of martial arts, one either cultivated the physique, the law of divine powers, or the soul. However, they had never heard of anyone who was so powerful. Even the princess was frowning. She looked at the sixth pagoda master. Do you know who he is? The sixth pagoda master took a deep breath. It should be the woman I brought, her companion. At this point, the sixth pagoda master also took a deep breath. Tell me your name. Do you know that this is the abyss of souls, not a place where you can behave atrociously? Behave atrociously? Lin Xian snorted coldly. So what if I behave atrociously? Hand over my companion's soul, or I'll make you die without a burial place. You're courting death. The sixth pagoda master also shouted angrily. He waved his sleeve, and an evil spirit with a green face and fangs shot out. It was formed from the condensation of 10 million souls. It was terrifying to the extreme. It specialized in devouring the souls of others. When the evil spirit arrived in front of Lin Xian, it was shattered by Lin Xian's finger. It was an insignificant skill. I'll give you one last chance. Where is Yun Yu's soul? Lin Xian's voice was cold. Damn it. He had gone too far. The sixth pagoda master shouted angrily and stretched out his hands. 9 chains flew out from his sleeves, carrying the extremely strange law of the soul. These 9 chains instantly enveloped Lin Xian. He laughed and said, "Suppress me." The sixth pagoda master was happy. His 9 chains came from the evil spirits of hell and contained an endless aura of destruction. No one who was locked by these chains had ever been able to come out alive. Today the other party would undoubtedly die. Chapter 5264. Feeling the power of the chains, Lin Xian shouted coldly and released his 9 yang divine body. The terrifying flames of extreme yang began to burn the other party's chains. The 9 chains shook violently and then broke apart. Lin Xian punched forward and forced the sixth pagoda master back. The sixth pagoda master vomited blood and his face was filled with shock. Who are you? This guy's physique is too terrifying. The others were also shocked. What a terrifying flame. Such a strong physique. Could he be? Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back and looked around. I'm Lin Wudi. What? Lin Wudi. It's really him. Heavens, this should be the 9 yang divine body. It's very similar to the legendary one. No wonder he could break the chains. Exclamations could be heard one after another. They had naturally heard of this name. He was in existence on the supreme list. They didn't expect him to come here. The sixth pagoda master's pupils constricted. Lin Wudi was a very difficult person to deal with. They had talked about him before. They didn't expect to meet him now. At the same time he was shocked. The person he caught was Lin Wudi's friend. He really deserved to die. Lin Xian's voice was cold. He looked forward and said, "Accept my punishment." The sixth pagoda master snorted. You're too arrogant. We have so many people here. Can you really win? Lin Xian shook his head. I gave you 2 chances and you didn't cherish them. So you can go to hell to repent. He was like a sun god. Wherever he went, the 9 heavens would burn. The sixth pagoda master was shocked by Lin Xian's aura. He was so scared that he broke out in cold sweat and kept retreating. He knew that he was embarrassed. His eyes were red and he roared crazily. Despicable brat, don't be arrogant. So what if she's your companion? I've already given her to a random princess. Her fate is to be absorbed as energy for us to use. No matter how strong you are, can you defy the heavens and change your fate? Ah. Arrogant laughter sounded. Lin Xian's face turned cold when he heard that. Yunyu was his battle servant. There was only one person in this world who could attack the other party, and that was him. Other than him, no one else could do anything to Yunyu. Now, the other party actually wanted to swallow Yunyu as energy. Lin Xian was thoroughly enraged. Endless sword chi appeared on his body, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. It was like a giant dragon roaring at the sky. At this moment, the heavenly palace shattered and the earth cracked. The entire abyss of souls shook violently as if it was the end of the world. 6 Dao Fist. Lin Xian punched out. 6 illusory worlds appeared and attacked the sixth pagoda master. The sixth pagoda master roared furiously and did his best to resist. However, under this punch, all of his weapon divine abilities were shattered. The illusions of the six worlds suppressed him. Lin Xian looked down from above and stepped on the other's soul. Six paths reincarnation Tianji divine eyes were activated, forming an illusory world. He began to reincarnate the other party's soul. A miserable voice could be heard. The sixth pagoda master was experiencing a life worse than death. All of you will have to bear my wrath. Lin Xian's voice was cold. The surrounding people were shocked. They were dumbfounded. Another pagoda master had fallen. Moreover, his soul was being tortured. This was simply unbelievable. They were all soul experts, but they couldn't compare to a young man in the underworld. The sixth pagoda master was destroyed. Lin Xian turned around and stared at the woman at the front. You're the princess? Hand over Yun Yu's soul. Then kneel at the side and wait for me to deal with you. You're courting death. You're too arrogant. You're causing the princess to roar crazily. This was her territory, but the other party wanted her to teach someone a lesson and even wanted her to kneel. She couldn't tolerate it. Everyone attack. Whoever kills him will die. I'll reward you heavily. As soon as she finished speaking, she screamed because Lin Xian slashed down with his sword. Dragon-shaped sword chi slashed down from the sky. The Soul Dao princess tried her best to dodge, but she was still hit. A crack appeared on her soul. She screamed miserably. The remaining 8 tower masters of the mixed towers also roared. Die. The 11th pagoda master was a burly man. He was like a giant, and his body was surrounded by soul lightning that shook the surroundings. He punched out with a vast power that could destroy everything. The 5th pagoda master sneered. He held a killing sword in his hand that carried an extremely strong soul law. He stabbed it toward Lin Xian's soul. The 3rd pagoda master formed a soul fire that burned fiercely. The remaining pagoda masters used their own methods. They were extremely powerful. Lin Xian, on the other hand, used the shadowless heaven's net. His silhouette disappeared in an instant, shuttling back and forth continuously. He dodged these attacks. At the same time, he used the Azura sword technique. This was a killing sword that matched the power of the great dragon sword spirit. It had unparalleled power and could kill with a single strike. Like a flying immortal, the 4th pagoda master's head flew up. He screamed miserably. Another sword that seemed to have come from the depths of hell pierced the 3rd pagoda master. The 3rd pagoda master screamed. Damn it, this was a terrifying killing technique. He was a top-notch killer. Someone shouted angrily. The 1st pagoda master snorted. So what? He can't hide under our souls. His soul reached the heavens. A terrifying light rushed out from the top of their heads, forming a sky curtain that enveloped the entire space. With such a soul technique, no matter how well the other party hid, they could still find him. But this time they found that there was no one. With a poochie sound, a sword came from the west and cut off the 1st pagoda master's arm. The 1st pagoda master roared. He turned around and attacked, but found that the enemy had already disappeared. Not good, he is also a soul expert. He can block our detection. Cold shouts sounded one after another. The other party's methods were too strange. They couldn't block such a killing technique. Sure enough, the pagoda masters fell one after another. In the end, only 2 people were left. The 1st pagoda master and the 2nd pagoda master. These 2 were the strongest, but they were also injured. As for the others, they were all killed. Lin Xian's figure appeared. The hell sword in his hand dripped with blood. Killing intent still surrounded him. What kind of sword technique is this? My body can't heal. The 1st pagoda master was terrified. The other party's sword was too cold. At their level, they could be reborn with just a drop of blood. But after being hit by the other party's sword, recovering was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. This greatly reduced their strength. Lin Xian's aura changed, turning into a terrifying demonic aura. The demonic god seal rushed forward. The 2nd pagoda master was torn apart. Run. The 1st pagoda master roared and turned around to escape. Even the princess retreated. Quick, inform my grandfather and tell him, before he could finish his words, he was sent flying by a sword. At the same time, the 1st pagoda master fled into the distance. At this time, he found that 2 women were facing him. Lin Wudi was strong, but could these 2 women be heaven-defying? He slapped out with both palms and attacked. Chapter 5265. A green lotus could suppress heaven and earth. A 7-colored phoenix could sweep through the 9 heavens. Yan Ruyu's and Murong Qingqing's bloodlines and abilities were extremely frightening. It was not something the other party could imagine. Therefore, when they stood up, the first pagoda master was instantly pushed back. Damn it! He roared crazily. He did not expect that apart from Lin Xian, the people around him were also so terrifying. Lin Xian looked at the Chaos Path's princess and said coldly, "Hand her over." The Chaos Path princess snorted coldly, and her expression became extremely ugly. Previously, she did not take Lin Xian seriously. She thought that Lin Wuti was only lucky to be on the supreme leaderboard. If he encountered her, he would have no chance of winning. Now that she had met him, the Chaos Path princess felt even more pressure. However, she was a top-notch expert after all. With her strength, she definitely dared to compete with Lin Xian. In the next moment, he roared angrily and rushed over. The souls in the world rumbled, and everyone felt their hair stand on end. They did not expect that woman to be so terrifying. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Golden lightning flashed in his eyes, and he rushed out like an unparalleled god of war. The two collided, and the void kept shattering. In the blink of an eye, 10 moves had passed. The Chaos Path princess was pushed back. Her blood was boiling, and her expression was gloomy. Lin Xian was also surprised. He did not expect her to be so strong. She was indeed qualified to be his opponent. Unfortunately, you've already angered me. If you don't hand her over, I won't let you off. Lin Xian roared. His long sword flickered with an even more terrifying killing intent. He slashed out with his sword. It was incomparably sharp, and it was about to shatter the 9 heavens. The Chaos Path princess felt a great threat. A terrifying light burst out from her eyes. Abyss of Souls. With a furious roar, a canyon appeared behind her. It carried a supreme aura and charged forward. The canyon enveloped heaven and earth. Killing intent appeared and covered Lin Xian's longsword. It's useless. This is my territory. I can mobilize unlimited power. You're no match for me. Suppress me. The canyon was incomparably terrifying, and it gradually began to suppress the void. Murong Qingqing and the others also felt a pressure, as if their powers were being restricted. Lin Xian was the first to bear the brunt. He could also feel it. However, he didn't care. He snorted coldly. What could mere pressure do to him? He took a step forward. His golden foot shattered everything. His divine body was simply too domineering at this moment. Although the pressure here was small, it couldn't compare to the sword in the world. He swung his sword 3 times in a row, splitting the canyon in half. The princess was sent flying while coughing up blood. Demon God Finger. Lin Xian shot out like a black bolt of lightning. The demonic god seal caused the half-blood princess to vomit blood. The soul of the Soul Dao princess was almost shattered. She raised her head and roared. Damn it, the other party was actually stronger than her. Even though she had taken out the local advantage, she still couldn't beat her opponent. She turned around and fled as well. How could this be? When First Pagoda Master sensed this scene, his eyes almost popped out. That was the half-blood princess, an existence that even they had to admire. But now she was defeated by Lin Xian. Was Lin Wuti already so terrifying? Damn it, how could this be? He trembled in fear. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He chased after her again with the demon god wings. The Azura sword was an extremely powerful killing sword. Combined with the power of the dragon sword soul, it formed a peerless killing sword. It directly pierced through the body of the half-blood princess. The half-blood princess was severely injured. Her body fell from the sky. Seeing that the black seal was about to shatter her, she went crazy. At this moment she finally went crazy. An extremely terrifying rune suddenly appeared between her eyebrows and shot into the sky. In the next moment she turned into an illusion and roared at the sky. Who dares to touch my granddaughter? It was the illusion of an old man. His eyes were as sharp as blades. As soon as he appeared, he shattered everything. Grandpa, save me. The half-blood princess let out an unwilling roar. That was the trump card that her grandpa left in her body to save her life. She did not expect it to come in handy. It meant that she had been completely defeated. She was unwilling to accept this. The First Pagoda Master was also shocked. Had she been defeated? But soon he snorted coldly. So what if she was defeated? Even the illusion of Ancestor Yuan had appeared. It could definitely defeat everything. At least they could leave safely. You want to protect her, old man? Lin Xian looked at the illusion and said coldly. The illusion also stared at Lin Xian. Who are you? How dare you injure my granddaughter? Kneel down and accept your death. Lin Xian sneered. Your granddaughter deserves to die. She suppressed my friend's soul and wanted to devour it as energy. Shouldn't I kill her? If you want to protect her, I'll kill you too. Idiot. It's your friend's fortune that my granddaughter has taken a fancy to him. If my granddaughter wants something, you have to kneel down and accept it. How dare you resist? Go to hell. The old man slapped over. The terrifying aura that covered the sky and earth made one's hair stand on end. Boom, boom, boom. Lin Xian used his terrifying fists to resist, but he was forced to retreat. At the same time, a golden light appeared in his eyes, forming the reincarnation mountain in front of him. He blocked the attack. Were you, young man? The old man's illusion shouted angrily. It was shocking that the other party could block his attack and not die. Fine, I'll let you know why you're dying. I'm Lin Wudi. You can go to hell now. Lin Xian's eyes burst out with a terrifying light. In the next moment, a dragon-shaped sword shadow appeared. He held it and slashed forward. Slash. The slash could split heaven and earth. Nothing could stop it. The old man's illusion was shocked. You're courting death. He reached out with both palms, but he still could not block it. Under the slash, he was split apart and disappeared into thin air. Brr. How dare you hurt my granddaughter? I'll tear you into pieces. The last voice sounded and then disappeared. Lin Xian sneered. He did not care at all. Once again he slashed his sword at the princess. The princess was truly in despair. Even her grandfather's illusion was shattered. Did she still have a way to resist? She was split apart by the sword. Blood stained the sky. She had completely died. Was she dead? The first pagoda master was terrified. He did not dare to believe it. That was the princess. Now she was dead. What kind of storm would it cause? It was over. These guys were dead for sure. He sped up and fled. In the end he was killed by Yan Ruyu and Murong Qingqing. At this moment, everyone in the mansion had died. Lin Xian and the others cleaned up the battlefield and collected all the storage rings of these people. These people were all soul experts. Whether it was cultivation techniques, pills, or great Tao crystals, they were all related to the soul. It was a great harvest for them. Brother Xian, let's leave quickly. That old man is very powerful. Murong Qingqing and the others were worried, but Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.